I'm afraid to talk much because I don't want it to break. Hopefully this works. I apologize so much, you guys. I really do. I, I, I've never had this trouble when I'm at my place. I think the lady got into the stream. That's what I think happened. Anyways, okay. Um, I am gonna let people trickle in. I apologize again. I'm going to yeah, I'm gonna just get us started and then we will do a little I don't know, debrief in a minute, okay? I love you all. Thank you for putting up with me.
10869 DM Luana Stupala. Today's date is May 12th, 2023. This is date and time set for a resumption of our hearing. It's day 3. I'll just go around the Zoom boxes as you appear to me. I'll state your name. Please state your names for the record. Ms. Whitman.
Melissa Whitman here for Aishwarya Nukala.
Ms. Belden.
Megan Belden here on behalf of Andrew Llewellyn.
Ms. Nukala.
Aishwarya Nukala.
And Mr. Llewellyn.
Andrew Llewellyn.
Thank you. My notes suggest that we are still on cross-examination of Ms. Nukala. It's been several days, maybe a month since April 11th. So I'm just going to swear you in again, ma'am. I mean, I think technically you're probably still under oath, but I'll swear you in for our record. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Belden.
Good morning, Aishwarya.
Morning.
I think when we last abruptly ended, we were at the point where we were talking about August 2022, when you and the children had made it out to Pasadena, correct? And you made it there, and then you decided to change your plans and leave early, correct?
I did not leave early.
Okay. Let's see. So you left to fly out to Pasadena on August 9th, is that correct?
Yes.
And originally you were going to stay to be there for the first day of school for Josephine, correct?
Not correct.
Okay. I'm gonna pull one thing up just a moment here.
Lady, seriously, how long have you been waiting for this and what are you waiting for? We're second question in stalling. Talk about failure to launch. Seriously, what's going on here? What is happening here? You know, if I touch it and move it at all, it will miss the explanation. So we just gotta keep going with this. This is like the most awkward elevator ride ever. What is going on? Miss Belden. Okay, now I'm getting a little like, I didn't mess it up. No, I didn't. This is not even torture, Lawrence or Larry, sorry. This is, you should think of this as a gift of silence before the rest of this evening. That just cost $32.
Okay, I'm gonna hit share screen.
Now?
Ishwarya, do you recognize do you recognize that? Is there a,
No, they're sideways, dummy. Nobody recognizes them. Also, do not dox anybody. Y'all know the rules.
I'm sorry, it's a sideways view. Is there, oh, maybe I can flip it. Can I rotate? It doesn't want to let me.
She has to pay.
Okay, this is a pain. I'm gonna just see, it says that it's an email. I don't want to make you all dizzy here, but do you see it says Ishwarya Nukala? Is that your email address up here?
Yes, that is an email exchange between us.
Okay, and it's dated August 11th, 2022. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
That email, it looks like you're saying you agreed to move to LA for the school year. You signed all of the legal documentation to do that. You know in your heart that that's not the right move. Is that correct?
I can confirm that I wrote this email. Yes.
Okay. And you're saying, so I'm unable to participate in any of the events. So then it goes on. I think Andrew responded saying, if you'd like to have a conversation about this, I'm happy to do that. Otherwise, I don't know what to say right now. And this was August 11th, correct? And then it looks like you responded with, the deed is done, you won. And I really am not going to be able to talk with you about this in any reasonable way, anytime for the foreseeable future. Anyone who knows the reality of what's going on will tell you that this is obviously a bad situation for our kids. I am trying to change my flight so I can leave tomorrow. I'll let you know if I'm able to do so. So you did change your flight to leave early, is that correct?
I did not. And I didn't leave until August 14th. And I left at 11:10 p.m. I have the flight receipt and I'd be happy to share that. I left on a red eye on Sunday, August 14th. Andrew drove me to the airport. I had said that I wanted to leave earlier in this email because of his behavior, which we've already covered multiple times.
Okay.
And I didn't, sorry.
I'm sorry. So Your Honor, I know this is hard to manage, but I'm showing that this is my exhibit C42 or C41 part 2. It looks like it is page 5 page 5 of 26 pages. I'm going to go to the next page, which is page 6. I would like to have page 5 of exhibit C41 admitted.
No objection.
Thank you.
Admitted.
Okay, so then if I go to the next page, again, Aishwarya, do you see your name at the top? Do you recognize this is a text exchange between you and Andrew?
Yeah, yes,
Okay,
yeah.
I would ask for page 6 of exhibit C41, part 2 to be admitted.
Do we have a date on this?
Is there a date at the? I know it's the same time frame of August. I think I have that as August 11th of 2022. But we're back to, I see, Aishwarya, can you, I think maybe this will help document it. Can you read this text? This was the text from you to Andrew, because Andrew wrote at the top, Aishwarya.
Okay,
Okay,
where
thank
would
you.
you like me to begin?
You can read it to yourself before we get it. It hasn't been admitted yet, so
Oh, sorry.
you can read it to yourself to refresh your memory. But
Yeah, please.
I kind of understood Ms. Whitman's question about the date to be. I could characterize that as an objection. So
Yeah, I get it.
it hasn't been. Thank you.
Let me see if
I read it.
okay, let me see if I go. We don't have an exact date listed on this, but do you remember the context of this email, Aishwarya, or this text, Aishwarya?
That weekend was, I don't remember what happened on which day that weekend of August 12th, 13th, 14th. Monday, August 15th is Josephine's first day of high school. And I had an important client meeting that morning that I had to get to. And so I ended up leaving on the evening of the 14th on a red eye. I have the flight receipt, and I landed in Detroit, transferred to a flight on Traverse City. On Monday, the 15th was Josephine's first day of school. And I arrived in Traverse City, I think 9 a.m., 9:30 a.m. After flying on a red eye, and I drove straight to work for the entire day. And my friend Molly was visiting town. So after work, I went home and I rested. And then I spent a few days with her in Leland.
Okay, so you remember the time frame. This is all around the time frame of when you were in Pasadena and you returned back to Leland, correct?
Yes, for work.
Okay, so I would ask that this be admitted. It's text exchanges from the weekend of August 11th, 12th.
I have no objection. That's fine.
It's admitted. Thank you.
Thank you. So Aishwarya, now that this has been admitted, would you mind reading the second kind of paragraph in your text to Andrew?
I don't know if loving someone is a problem, but I understand what you are saying. I'm sorry for everything, and I'm sorry for your pain, truly. This might be too much for you, but would it be okay if I came back here earlier than the 16th? I really want to come home already, and I haven't even left. I think Molly would, oh, okay, sorry. I think Molly will be here on the 11th or 12th, and I'm dying to see her. I don't know if that works with the kids are in an Airbnb. Can we just think about it? So I can, in terms of the date, can I speak to that, or do you want to ask me about it?
Well, so I guess what I want to ask you is that you're saying in this email, in this text exchange, you are asking to come home earlier, or to leave Pasadena earlier than the 16th, correct?
This exchange was, I don't have a date for it, but this exchange was when I was purchasing my ticket.
Okay.
Prior to leaving on August 9th. And I needed to, I clearly don't say that here, but I had been at home in Leland with the kids for a month. We had COVID and I needed to get back because I had an important client meeting on the 15th. And so when I asked him, this might be too much for you, but would it be okay if I came back here earlier than the 16th? I'm
Okay,
referring to making plans with him before I left with the kids and buying plane tickets.
okay. I appreciate you clarifying that. So so you originally discussed staying until the 16th, and then you asked if it would be okay if you came home earlier than what you guys had talked about previously. Is that correct?
Um, I mean, I guess so. I remember that I needed to get back on the 15th and I was in a position where I had to be back for that morning because I met with a contractor for a project that was wrapping up. And I also needed to collect a payment so I could make a tuition payment.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, the silences are too much, ma'am. You need to be better. You've had weeks to prepare for this. I could have been better prepared for this. Also, hi guys, welcome. If you're new here, this is Kitchen Court Cases. Oh, the door just blew or the wind just blew the door open. This is Kitchen Court Cases where we watch court in my kitchen. This is a divorce case that is ongoing. They had an agreement. One of them is going
Okay,
back
and
on
I
that
have
original
this as
agreement.
being a text or a
Oh,
text.
hold on, Megan. You know, you had a long time to think about what you're going to say, and now I'm speaking. So anyways, this is a case between two people that have a lot of money to spend on lawyers and a lot of focus on themselves, not on their kids, unfortunately. That's the truth of that. Oh, and remember, she did say that public school is like, oh my gosh. Yeah, the last video of this one that I did of this, I got roasted in the comments, by the way. I am feeling a lot better, guys. Just so you know, I am feeling great. I will say hi, everybody. Hello, welcome. If you're new here, I've got all my prep stuff out. We're going to be making beef enchiladas for dinner tonight. So we have a lot of court to watch, and I'm slow cooking. Well, not really. I'm using the Instant Pot, but you know what I mean. Anyways, so please, if you're new here, how we take attendance is you hit the like or the dislike button, whichever you prefer, and let me know what you've had for dinner. I love to hear what you've eaten for dinner, and if you didn't like what you had for dinner, you can tell me what you wish you had, and that will do too. I am so glad to see all my fam, that's what you are, fam, regulars here. And if you have any questions or you would like a TLDR on something, just ask and we were here for it. Oh, I'm hearing Melissa is, or sorry, Mel, cooking veggie soup. Thank you, Carrie. Applebee's, Heather. Yum. I I love the Instant Pot too. I am very happy with it. Sketty. Ginger's husband made a pot roast. That is the way I see it. Had Rocky Road ice cream. Carrie had shrimp. Toby, I look like I'm on a TV set. I am. It's a kitchen. I'm just kidding. This is a great kitchen though. I love it. And in a moment, I've got a whole like prep area set up down here. So I'll be facing the camera down a little bit and watching the prep going on. We had Arbitrary Hubris had popcorn for dinner. Rita Williams had ice cream for dinner. Remember, she's on a staycation. Absolutely. We remember Rita. Toby had steak. Lucy is cooking up a Grubhub order. Larry or Lawrence, which do you prefer, Larry? I don't know. It's because I call Larry Beaver all the time. But cereal? What kind of cereal is the question? Cereal is such a broad answer. Could be freaking Weetabix. Tacos, Trisha Miller is saying second night in a row because who doesn't love tacos? Nobody that I know. Lawrence. Okay, Lawrence, no problem. But Larry is still Larry Beaver. But you could be Lawrence. Okay, we're gonna continue on. If it gets bad again, I figured out how to flip it live for us. So we will do that. I am nowhere near a professional chef at all whatsoever. No. But I play one on YouTube.
Exchange of August 13th. My notes show that this is a text exchange of August 13th. Aishwarya, again, would you recognize that this is a text exchange between you and Andrew? And I'll have you have a minute. Tell me when you want me to scroll to see the rest of this page.
I do remember this, yeah.
Okay. Would you agree that this was August 13th range?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it was that weekend, yeah.
Okay. So can you read Andrew's email or text to you at the top there?
Sure.
It's hard, I know.
You need to enter it.
Oh, yeah, could we have page 7 of Exhibit C 41, Part 2, admitted, please?
No objection.
Admitted, thank you.
Andrew writes to me at the top, "Hi, I sent you some emails which you may be avoiding. I would like to say again that I'm sorry about everything and I'm open to making changes. I know you're feeling angry and miserable. I'd like to propose that we do something pleasant as a family today."
Oh, I forgot. Something very important about this case, that is like critical is both of these people are extremely wordy in their writing to each other. He is a writer and she is an interior designer, but they both are prolific with their texting. And hey, no shame, I am too. I'm like that too, but you just need to see. Yes. Let's continue, shall we? The dog's eating her dinner.
Like go to the Nickel Diner or Griffith Park. I think it would help and mean a lot to the kids. And I write back to him, I'm not avoiding them. I just need some time and space away from the very real problems with you. I want to go home tomorrow and I'll respond when I'm ready. I will say right now that I'm not going to revise the divorce agreement. The kids are going to be here with you after I leave tomorrow, and I have committed to paying $45,000 for tuition, plus the cost of a rental here, plus the cost of travel to see my kids, plus manage my work from a distance.
Okay, and then I'm sorry, I'm going to keep going on. It goes on it, so it says.
I can't give you, well, is that?
This, now we're going to page 8 of, I guess this, let me see how many, yeah, it's 2 pages. I'm sorry, page 7 and 8 of.
Do those correspond with each other? Because it says, there's a sentence there that says, I'm not, and then it's cut off, and then it doesn't follow.
Maybe it doesn't, but it's all listed as exhibit 10. Let me look here. Yeah, something got cut off. And that's fine. We can just do page 7. I'm fine with that. So my question is in this, if we go back to page 7, you're saying that you want to go home tomorrow, and this is a text from that weekend. So do you remember, did you Andrew proposes that your family all hang out together, Did that happen?
Is this August 13th?
Yes.
I'm just going to object that if we are, I understood it, we should enter the complete text. I'm
I'm
fine.
not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's fine. It's just, I saw Ashwari and I both noticed that it cuts off here. It says I'm not, and then that's not consistent with the next line.
I'd rather have it, even if it's missing a word or two.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. So, Your Honor, I would ask that pages 7 and 8 of C41 Part 2 be admitted.
No objection.
So admitted. So we're not gonna, I guess I don't understand. Are you gonna be pointing out the text that goes along with that, or are we don't need the I'm not part? The
We
continue.
don't need the I'm not.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. So it says at this time that you're not avoiding the kids, but you wanted to go home tomorrow. Do you remember did you go to Griffith Park and Nickel Diner that day?
I say I'm not avoiding them, meaning his emails, which is what
Okay.
he was referring to. On this day, on August 13th, it was after the episode of the yelling and then pushing me out the door.
Okay.
So,
Sorry, I'm just gonna I guess what I'm trying to get to right now is you're saying after I leave tomorrow. So can we agree that you left on August 14th?
yes.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry. I'm gonna try to be as brief as possible today. I know this is gonna be a new thing for me, but so Ashwarya, you left on August 14th. The first day of school for Josephine was August 15th, correct?
Correct.
So you missed her first day of school.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay. That's where I was going. Okay, thank you.
Megan, I think you need to get checked out, babe. These pauses are not cool. CRD, if you're trying to remember this case, this is the 8-hour case where I freaked out in my kitchen for a long time and was very, very mean to this lady. But in reality, what the truth I think is that I just saw her for what she is. And I called it early. And I hold by my assessment. She can come to my kitchen and explain herself too. Open invitation. But she'd probably want to redesign it. I'm not even kidding. This is still playing. This is a joke. How is the judge not saying something at this point? This is also an example of the situation I was talking about the other night with in sales where you're not supposed to talk first. All of these people here are unwilling to concede and sort of say something at this point. Do you know how rare that is? Think of how long this gap of silence has been. Have you heard this in other courts?
Ashwarya, do you remember you and Andrew working together to get the kids enrolled in the schools in Pasadena in the months of May? Pretty much it looks like it was kind of an intense May if I'm looking at all your history with, getting Josephine. Well, you applied to several schools in Pasadena, but you both worked together on that to get her into LaSalle, correct?
Yes.
And then did you both work together to get Leo signed up for High Point?
Yes.
And did you both work together to get Birdie into Oak Knoll, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And it looks like it was quite a bit of work, well, at least a lot of email work. And Andrew went out and visited those schools with Josephine. Is that correct? That spring you were in agreement and Andrew went out and took Josephine and toured the schools and sent you pictures of Josephine in Pasadena. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Okay.
That creepy smile, she still got it. Andrew's like feeling the telepathic energy that he's being sent right now. I would be extremely upset if I paid money for this lawyer. And if I was the judge, I would actually call a sidebar at this point.
Shwaria, I pulled up on the screen an email from Monday, May 23rd, 2022. Do you recognize this as an email coming from Andrew to you?
Yes.
Okay. And do you see that you are having a discussion about the house in Lake Leelanau?
Yes.
Okay. So it looks like there's a discussion going on or an analysis or consideration about maintaining the house in Lake Leelanau while also being able to have be able to afford to live in Pasadena, correct?
Yes.
And he ends it with, does that make sense? And it looks like then you responded. So his email is at 11:37. You responded that same day at 11:51. Do you recognize this email that you sent him?
Yes.
Okay. I see. Can you read us that first paragraph, please?
Yes. Do we need to enter it?
That would be.
She's now showing herself off being a better lawyer than Megan. That's exactly what that was there. That's a power move. This is a good point where I'm gonna just take a moment to recall for everybody what what the deal is here. So originally these two people lived in California. Well, eventually, but for the most part, what's important is they lived in California. They agreed to live in California when they got a divorce. Their kids all went to school there. And then the mom has decided that she wants to live in northern Michigan. And so this hearing is all about going back on an already completely executed custody agreement and divorce decree, I'm assuming. And so what the biggest issue is here is that, oh my gosh, CRD loves teeth. Thank you so much. You are amazing. That's awesome. Look at all those members. Everybody's a member. Make sure to turn your memberships on. Thank you so much. I hope you guys are all excited. And also, please check out That Is the Way I See It. Monica's dropping the links in the chat. CRD's dropping memberships from the sky. She signed it and didn't read it. That's right. She signed it and didn't read it. Read it. Well, look at that. Look at that. Look at that. That's cool. I did that. I mean, CRD did it, but I did the. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, this is going to be a bit awkward for a while, guys.
That'd be great. Thank you, Ashwarya. So Your Honor and Melissa, I am asking that this be exhibit, that page, here we go. Let me look at my, this is page 47. Let's see if I go on. 47 and 48 of Exhibit D, Part 2 be admitted. And let me
No-
scroll. Oh,
No
go ahead.
objection.
Okay, thanks.
Admitted.
Thank you. So Ashwarya, can you read that first paragraph of that email to us there from you to Andrew?
Yes. Yes, I understand where you are coming from, and I don't want you to feel that I got the house and control the equity in it. I don't in any way want to limit your future. I have agreed to the Pasadena plan, not only for our kids and their future, but I'm also doing this for you. I know that your future is not in Michigan. I also know that there are financial realities around the move, and you will need to rent a house for the coming year. I am open to talking through the parenting schedule with a house in Pasadena. Do you want me to keep reading?
Yeah, that would be great.
I have a lot of work here that pays really well. I know that I could have something similar, if not better, in Los Angeles, but at the moment I am here and this is where my work is growing. I would like to talk about the house here, the money that is in the property here, and the parenting plan. I don't know that I've made this clear to you, but I will be commuting back and forth from LA to Leland through the end of this year at least. We can talk through this tomorrow. I'm committed to working out the task at hand.
Okay. Okay. So at that time, you and Andrew were getting along well. You were really considering everything and the realities of this move to Pasadena. Do you feel that's a correct statement?
Can you repeat your question?
I'm sorry. On May 23rd, or in May, you and Andrew were working well with each other to execute the plan of a move to Pasadena, and you were considering the financial ramifications of that, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you would also state that at that time that you acknowledged that you agreed to the Pasadena plan, not only for your kids and their future, but also you were doing it for Andrew, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Ashwarya, do you recognize this email? It looks like from you to Andrew on May 25th.
Yes.
Is it safe to say that this is a home that you saw, that you were proposing to Andrew, that the two of you, that he could rent, or let's see what the word, I think you should rent this, we could split the cost, I'm not kidding. So you had found a place that you sent to him saying, hey, let's look at this. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I would ask to have page 49 and 50, so you get the gorgeous picture of Exhibit D, Part 2 admitted.
No objection.
Admitted.
Oh, I guess it goes on, but you don't need the next page. Well, okay, I guess I'm going to ask that page 51. I guess I would say 51 and 52. And 53. I'm sorry. I guess it just kept going on. Yeah, I'm sorry, through page 53 then. It's just their continued text. It gives more detail about the house and the realtor listing it. Any objections to that?
No.
Okay,
Admitted through 49 through 53 then.
perfect. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Is she having somebody literally draw up all of these documents in real time, like a scribe? Seriously. Also, I have to tell you something. If this entire video was filled with oh yeahs, I will not stop it because it would make me happy. And this video didn't make me very happy last time. So, sorry. Whoa, Streamlabs, you can't delete your stuff.
So Ashwarya, you and Andrew, that the proposed consent judgment of divorce, I think you previously testified to this. You and Andrew signed that on June 17th. I believe it was kind of a momentous day of 2022 because that was your anniversary. It coincided to be on your wedding anniversary as well, correct?
Correct.
Okay. When did you start to have doubts about that?
Andrew moved or drove to California. He left Leland on July 9th. And I think it was around that time, I had a going away party for him with a lot of friends and in Leland. And I just started feeling like around that time that this was just going to be really logistically hard for me and for the kids. And Birdie was at the Children's Center for the summer. And I actually talked to the director there, Molly, about whether I said to her, like, I'm really worried about what's ahead of us. And when Andrew was driving to California, he was in Oklahoma. I think it was maybe July 9th, or I'm sorry, July 11th, or maybe, I don't know, either the 10th or the 11th. And I called him and I said, I'm really having some major reservations about this plan. Can we try to think about what's going on? And he just was like, I think he was surprised. And then he called me back and he basically just was like, no way. You made an agreement, you signed an agreement, and there's no room for changing this. You have to get on a plane. And, you know, I was overwhelmed. I was at home with 3 kids and I needed to figure out a job in Pasadena, like a project. I had a huge project in Leland that was wrapping up and I was under a huge amount of pressure with work. And Andrew had just, had moved away. The divorce was going on. And it was a really hard time, and I was really overwhelmed. I should have called an attorney, and I did not know my rights at that point, that I could still object to the custody situation. I started to increasingly just grow worried and increasingly upset about taking the kids there. And I tried to talk to him about it on multiple occasions. And he just kept saying that this was binding and it was done. And there was, this is what I agreed to. And I did not seek out.
And when was that? When was that, Ishwarya? I'm sorry. When did you have those? So you said he was driving out July 9th, July 11th, and you expressed to him that you're having reservations. Was it that same, I'm sorry, what date was that again that you?
Maybe like July 10th or the 11th, maybe the 12th. Like, I don't know. I can't remember how many days it took him to drive to California from Michigan, but he was in Oklahoma the first time that we talked about it. And then he was in Texas, I think, or New Mexico, and we talked about it. And both times he said, I had to get on, that this was binding, that I had agreed to all of this, and that it was too late. And he was driving, and it wasn't fair of me to ask for any kind of a change like this at this point. And that was the conversation.
And wasn't there an agreement? I'm sorry, was there an agreement in the judgment of divorce that you, the consent judgment of divorce that you signed, the agreement, I'll call it because it wasn't entered, that he would be out by a certain day of the home in Lake Leelanau?
Yeah, I think it was July 14th.
Okay. So he was carrying through with his part of the agreement that he needed to be out by the 14th when he left on the 9th, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm gonna hit share screen again. Ishwarya, do you recognize this email from July 17th from Andrew to you?
Yes.
Okay. Would you mind reading that on the record, please? I guess I'm going to ask that it be admitted. This is before Ishwarya reminds me. This is going to be pages 5, and it goes on, and 6 and 7.
I'm sorry. Did you hear that? Did you just hear her try and diss her back for dissing her first? I'm sorry, babe. She got you, and you've been silent more than you've spoken this case already. So you're failing. Don't throw shade. Be better. I also just wonder something. I can talk a lot. Y'all know that. So to me, it's why can't you talk while you're pulling up your stuff and ask the next question? It really does not make any sense. Anyways, okay, so I'm gonna get prepping with some food for dinner while they continue on this weird whatever they're talking about. Yeah. Also, thank you for being here. I love you all.
6 and 7 of Exhibit D, Part 3. Wait, 5. Yeah. Yes, please. That's what I would ask.
No objection.
Admitted.
I'm assuming she's going to say that this is her email and that's his email and that these are.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So Ishwarya, would you mind reading the email from Andrew to you dated July 17th, 2022?
Yes. Aishwarya, thank you for talking earlier today. I want to say a few things. I know this is an extremely difficult time for our entire family. There is no way to get around it. My last week in Leland was the hardest week emotionally of my entire life. I apologize that since I left last Saturday, I have not expressed more concern about how the kids have been doing emotionally. Honestly, I have really needed massive emotional space from what has transpired in our life and our family over the past 1 to 2 years. I do not mean to leave you alone with the kids and their intense emotions. I'm truly sorry the experience has been so hard for you. I will say that I simply cannot live with the anger, resentment, confusion, and chaos that has filled our life for the past 2 years. When you started talking this morning about moving, I began to hear that anger again in your voice, and it makes me feel terrified and miserable. I don't want to specifically say that we should reconsider our plans, but if you feel that carrying out the plans we agreed to in our divorce judgment will lead you to feeling that way toward me, I think we should reconsider. I cannot live like that anymore. I cannot live in the emotional state I lived in for the past 2 years. It is not sustainable. However, assuming we are going to carry out our plans, I would like to communicate about working together to do them. Whether that means me coming back there to help the kids pack, I looked at plane tickets, you and I living together for a while out here, whatever it might be. If we're going to be partners in life, then we need to be partners in life. I just want to say those things. That's all. Love me.
Okay. Okay, and then it looks like the next day, Monday, July 18th, Andrew sent you an email with the heading options for this year. And can you read that to us, please?
Aishwarya, I understand that this is a very difficult time. I am sorry that you feel I have left you there alone with the kids to deal with this. That was not my intention. We can work through this situation together. In fact, we have to work through this together. Here are the options as I see them. Waiting a year to move, kids staying in Michigan. Josephine and Leo each attend LPS's Leland Public School for the coming year. We contact Cranbrook about Josephine going there. Maybe she can. She does that for a year, in which case I assume she'd stay for 4 years. Leo finishes 8th grade at Leland, but then I don't know where he goes to high school.
I know this is picky, but this is a picky case, and I would have objected there because she just didn't read what it says. She added in an explanation. I don't like her voice reading it either. Last time I read a lot of them in her voice, but whatever.
I rent a studio in LA and commute back and forth to Michigan on some regular schedule. Positives: gives us time to settle into things over the coming year, decreases stress of the immediate move, gives you time to arrange your own work and travel plans. Negatives: delays the inevitable. Both kids are unhappy in school in Leland. If Josephine is at Cranbrook, she'd likely stay there, and then we're all split up. Not sure how it sets Leo up for high school. If both Josephine and Leo stay in Leland, it decreases the likelihood of them being accepted into schools out here for 2023, 2024. Splitting up the kids for the coming year. I know you don't want to do this, but it is an option. Josephine moves to Pasadena to attend LaSalle. I rent a house apartment. I think you and I could find a way to sort of switch houses. Like you occasionally come here for a week and I go to Leland. Josephine and Leo both move to Pasadena. Same rental, flying back and forth as above. Positives: gets Josephine and Leo into a better school situation and puts them on track for a good high school experience. Allows us to transition without making a full-on move as a family. Gives both you and I time to settle our lives over the coming year. Saves on the cost of housing for the coming year. It is more financially feasible than all of us moving. Negatives: it splits up the family for a year. This would be hard no matter what it looks like. Everyone moves to Pasadena. All kids move here and attend school as planned. You and I could consider living together to get through the year and save on, I'm not sure what that says.
I don't either. Okay.
Costs. Positives: gets Josephine and Leo into better schooling situations, moves ahead with the plan we agree to. Negatives: might be very hard to execute a full move as a family. Makes it hard for your work situation since your work is currently there. us living together might be hard for us respectively and the kids overall. More expensive.
Okay, you have to remember something right now, guys. Please, please keep in mind she's reading this in her like, oh my God, this is so reasonable. And, these are points, and this was a discussion. This is him. He wrote this to her. He sounds inherently reasonable in the sense of like taking into consideration her thoughts and whatever. Like, what? Like, what? Hi, Courtney. How are you? Um, it's that time again. We have to watch this lady. Let's keep going.
Take a look, sit on it, let me know what you think. We can work through this. We will get through it together, okay? We've gotten through everything together in our adult lives. We can get through this too. I mean it. Love, Andrew.
Okay. So that was before you had even come out to, that was July 18th. That's before you even flew out to Pasadena with the kids for the move there, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So at that time, Andrew was proposing to you different options again after you had already signed the agreement on June 17th, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see how many pages this is. Okay, so I am going to, where is it? Okay. Aishwarya, do you recognize this as an email from you to Andrew on Monday, July 25th, 2022? And I'll scroll see.
Yes.
And then Andrew, it looks like, responded to you.
Yes.
And then you responded to him, correct?
Correct.
I would ask that this be admitted. It would be pages 8. Oh, no, not 8. I'm sorry, guys. No, it looks like it's just page 8 of Exhibit D, Part 3.
No objection.
Admitted.
Okay, thank you. Aishwarya, this was an email from you to Andrew, and can I is it a safe summary to say that you sent Andrew a number of different options that look like were available to lease in Pasadena, correct? Or Pasadena and Altadena?
Yes, these were for him.
Okay, on July 25th. Okay. And then it looks like Andrew sent back some that he was looking at or that he liked based on that, or maybe he found some other ones. So the two of you were corresponding about possible rentals in Pasadena, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And again, that was July.
Hi, Keeper. I hope you're doing well. Thank you so much for popping by. We are watching this. Please, if it's too much for anybody, please take off. This is a little bit triggering for some, but we're here for it. I'm so glad that you're here. And if you're new here, please hit that like or dislike button. That's how you make sure that's how we take attendance. And these people have a lot of money, okay? Like a lot of money. Because what was it, R. Fulmer? Like $108,000 in rent? Hi, insert funny name. I will give you a TLDR. This is a continuation of a long divorce or custody trial that is going on between two parents who originally had a signed agreement where they were going to live in California. But the mom has decided that she wants to live in Michigan now. And so she has gone to court to try and get them to change the agreement to live in Michigan. And the dad is a writer and the mom is a interior designer. And the kids are ranging in age from preschool-ish. I think now they're in school, but to like almost graduating high school. and this has been going on for a while. There's a previous video that I should recommend watching my videos, but it's a lot of work. So, you can just jump right in now and we'll answer any questions that you might have. So, we are continuing on. You can hear the pot back there is getting hot. I need to saute the beef in there and then get it going.
25th and 26th.
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
Oh, also, this lawyer is ill prepared, just absolutely ill prepared. Come at me, lady. Come explain to me.
Ishwarya, do you recognize this? I think this is probably the plane tickets that you were referencing earlier for the trip out to Pasadena in August, but it looks like it's an email from Andrew to you dated August 2nd, where he's saying, I'll buy the plane tickets. And he sends you the itineraries for the plane tickets. Just gonna keep scrolling. And then you responded saying that you bought the tickets. And then you state, I will be returning on Tuesday, August 16th after Josephine's first day at LaSalle.
Correct. And then that was changed before I flew out there.
Okay. Okay, so the timing of changing things were you were, as of August 2nd, you had bought a ticket that you were planning to be in Pasadena through Josephine's first day. Then you switched your ticket to go back early, correct?
I guess that's what it says here. My memory is that, obviously that's what happened.
Okay, that's fair. So I guess I would ask, Your Honor, that pages 12, 13, 14 of Exhibit D, Part 3 be admitted.
No objection.
Admitted.
Thank you. Ishwarya, do you remember Andrew sending you a proposed itinerary of things going on before the first day of school for each of the kids back on Thursday, August 11th? Like open house information, the fall athletic meeting, the orientation, uniform sale, new parent meeting. Do you remember an email from August 11th in which Andrew sent you kind of that itinerary of things going on?
I don't remember the specific email, but I do remember having knowledge about those activities and events going on.
Okay. And did you attend those events?
I did not.
Okay.
I did attend Birdie's orientation at the Montessori school. Josephine had something that I think Andrew went to, and then Leo did not have anything that I can remember missing.
Okay. Okay. Why did you not attend anything of Josephine's?
I think that I wrote to Andrew at that point. If that was August, I don't know what date that email was.
August 11th, and I'll find it.
These pauses are ridiculous. If they were pregnant pauses, this lady would have 15 kids. Still? I would want my money back.
And let's see, I'm gonna get to that email. Aishwarya, do you remember being concerned by seeing Josephine's schedule at LaSalle and seeing a girl by the name of Phoebe that was in her class that was going to be in some of her classes, and that concerned you because Phoebe had previously been, I don't know what the exact term, but there had been some dynamic between Phoebe and Josephine in younger years in school.
Correct.
Okay. Okay, so I am going to, and you communicated that to Andrew, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so let me. So here is the email, Aishwarya. Can you confirm this email is from Andrew to you and it's dated August 11th?
Correct.
It looks like he sent you, the title is School Events for this week.
Correct.
So it looks like Andrew put for the Oak Knoll one, and that's Birdie School, correct?
Yes.
There was Thursday from 6 to 7:30. It was a Montessori 101, and he put in there, I'm not planning to attend due to the LaSalle new parent event. So is that the event maybe you went to?
No, I've already been to the Montessori 101 event at other
Okay.
schools, so I didn't go to that.
Okay. Did you go to the LaSalle at 3 p.m. where it said the dean of students invited me to talk with him about our concerns about Phoebe. We're meeting at this time on campus. You're obviously welcome to come. Did you go to that one?
No.
Okay. But you were invited, correct?
Yeah, I believe this is the day that Andrew was screaming in the car and on the sidewalk, and I didn't want to be around him.
Okay. And then, so you didn't go to the 5:30 fall athletic meeting, nor did you go to the new parent orientation that evening?
Not attend any of those events.
Okay. And then on Friday, you didn't attend those events as well? The new student orientation, well, that probably wouldn't be for you, huh? And then the uniform sale?
I did not attend the uniform sale.
Okay.
I don't think you did either.
Okay, but then on Saturday for Oak Knoll, you think this is the meeting you went to? The new parent meeting?
The new parent meeting that I went to was on, I have actually a photo on my phone of Birdie at the school that morning. And that was on the morning of August 10th. I went to her orientation.
Okay.
And so that Saturday evening was a social event from 6 to 8 p.m. and neither Andrew nor I attended it.
Okay. Your Honor, I would ask that page 44 of Exhibit D, Part 3 be admitted.
No objection.
Admitted.
Um,
Admitted by your scribe, who has obviously transcribed it via hieroglyphics. Also, the Instant Pot says burn. I've never had it do that.
Okay.
Megan, this is not even funny anymore. I actually think somebody needs to go check on Megan. Is Megan okay? Does Megan have a problem in her life right now that's causing her to be silent like this?
Okay, Ishwarya, this is the bottom of that page 44, and it goes on to page 45. I'm gonna keep going. 46. Do you recognize this email exchange between you and Andrew?
Yes.
Okay. And we are now on 46.
Med check for everybody, but I was just sauteing in
47.
it. It wasn't supposed to have any liquid yet.
48.
Meg,
51.
I would at this point would rather have Meg from what is that court? It's in Michigan too, isn't it? I'm adding 100,000 points to everybody. Give it a couple minutes to come through just for being here.
Four.
This is out
Okay.
of control. This is seriously out of control.
So I'm asking that pages 44 to 54 be admitted. It's a continual kind of email exchange between Ishwarya Nukala and Andrew Llewellyn.
No objection.
Is this still D part 3?
I'm sorry, D part 3.
That's okay. Thank you.
Right.
I just want to get it
Yeah,
straight, and that's
thank you.
admitted.
Okay. So Ishwarya, where this takes off, this kind of is going to start up at the bottom, and I know you already touched on this, but it looks like, Andrew sent you the schedule. We went through, you just testified to the things you and Andrew, attended that you were aware of. And then we already talked about this a little too, where you're saying that you feel like the move to LA was a mistake. And Andrew's saying, if you'd like to have a conversation, I'm happy to do that. Otherwise, I don't know what to say. And then that's when you wrote, the deed is done, you won. And I'm going to change my flight to leave tomorrow. Andrew wrote, I'm sorry you feel that this is a bad situation for the kids. And then it looks like, Ishwarya, you sent Andrew your new schedule for leaving.
Mhm. I did not leave on that day though. Yeah.
Okay, on August 11th, and you said, yep, I'll take an Uber if you can't drive me, but I'd like to say goodbye to the kids. And then it looks like Andrew wrote back, okay, I don't know where our kids are going to sleep tomorrow night, but maybe that's not important. And then can you read what you responded with?
I'm sure you will figure it out.
Okay, and then it looks like he wrote back that I'll figure out where to have my children sleep when they can't sleep in the house where I'm obligated to sleep. Do you remember where Andrew was sleeping at that time?
It was pet sitting for our friends, the year checks in Pasadena, and the kids had COVID the week previously. And so the year checks asked that the kids not sleep, even though they had tested negative by this point at their house. So I had them at a hotel while Andrew, I think at this point, he had the house, the new rental house, but we weren't able to, I think we moved into it that day. I can't remember all the details, but we didn't buy, there was no furniture, and he went to Target and bought air mattresses and stuff like that for everybody to sleep on. But I was like in a hotel room with the kids.
Okay.
And on August 11th, I'm pretty sure that's the day where the screaming happened, and I just couldn't talk to him anymore about what was going on.
Okay. But so I guess what I'm seeing here is though that, so what your change of plans impacted the kids sleeping or where they were staying at that time, correct?
It would have potentially, but I didn't leave. So I didn't actually change like that, even though that I did change the flight. I did that online and I did not get on that plane. That's not when I left.
Okay. Okay. And then it looks like everything was up in the air. And so then Andrew wrote to you, or can you confirm if you're paying for the tuition for Josephine and Leo?
Correct.
And can you read your response?
I intend to uphold my end of the divorce settlement, which includes paying the full tuition bills for both Josephine at LaSalle and Leo at High Point for this coming school year.
Okay. And did you pay the full tuition bills for Josephine at LaSalle and Leo at High Point for this year?
I paid Leo's full tuition bill that was due. It's completely paid. And I paid close to $7,000 in August or September for Josephine's tuition bill. We were on a quarterly payment plan.
Okay.
And I was unable to make the second payment, I think in November, December. I didn't have enough money. And then in the new interim order that Andrew signed, he agreed to pay her full tuition, the remaining balance, which was $20,000 in January. And he did so a couple weeks ago using her college funds and Leo's college funds.
Okay. And how did you end up paying for Leo's last amount owed to High Point?
So I paid, I think I paid roughly $10,000 since January. I paid $4,600 in January. And then I paid another, I think $1,000 or $2,000 in February. I could get the numbers for you. And
what about the last payment?
The last payment, Andrew owed me about $2,800 in child expenses, and he was paid in our joint bank account $7,200, and I withdrew $7,000, and I paid Leo's tuition bill, and then I returned all of the rest of the money that I withdrew because Andrew needed money for his rent and a health insurance payment because he doesn't have any savings. So,
Okay.
but Leo's tuition, I'm sorry, the question about Leo's tuition is that it was fully paid.
But that last payment was from pulling money out of an account that was essentially Andrew's account. You pulled $7,000.
My name's on that account. It's my account too.
But it was an account going to Andrew in that judgment of divorce that was signed, correct?
Andrew did not remove my name from the account, and he receives direct deposits in it. And so it's still my account.
Does Andrew access your income at this point in time, Aishwarya?
Andrew does not have any name. I do not share any, I do not put any income in any joint account.
Okay, okay. If you were to put money into the joint account, would you expect Andrew to use it? Would you be upset if Andrew used it?
I wouldn't be surprised if he used it. He usually needs money.
Okay. So now if we go on, you're saying, it looks like it's an email from Andrew to you dated August 11th. Andrew's expressing to you kind of concern about what's going to happen with you leaving early because he is house sitting your friends' animals and house through August 13th. And it looks like he says the decision to leave tomorrow is yours, but it affects our children. And he's trying to come up with problem solving. And then can you read your response to that?
Sorry, do we need to enter it? Has this been entered?
This has been entered.
Yes, we entered the whole string.
Sorry, Andrew, I'm not able to help you figure this out. You will need to do so on your own. I've upheld my end of the agreement to deliver the kids to you on time for the school year. I am under no further obligation to help you with this problem.
Okay. Okay. And again, it looks like here that same day, Andrew says he recognizes that you're upset and he's offered to talk to you and you've refused, and he's kind of at a loss for what to say, correct?
That's what Andrew writes, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Then on Friday, August 12th, Andrew writes you a note, and it looks like it's, an apology note, correct? Did we lose referee Hagan?
Yes, it says I'm the host now.
Melissa,
Oh,
let's change things up here. We could,
sorry, I'm
we could
taking over.
this. Okay, well, we better give him a minute. He cut out for lunch early.
Yeah, they don't stop sharing. Thanks, guys. So helpful. Anyways, yes, I am. Thank you, Keeper. I have just put the beef in the Instant Pot. Keeper is going to help me with making an enchilada sauce. I think I have most of the things I need. I have lots of spices, lots of things. What we're going to do here once the judge gets back is
Did I just go away?
You did.
Yeah.
And Melissa was put in charge.
And I was the host.
Sorry, I don't know what happened. This is not the first time that's happened, but I don't know why it happens. I just went away and it said I was disconnected from Zoom. So sorry.
No problem. We stopped. We heard a little ding that something had happened, and I think we caught it right away. So we took a little break period.
Thank you.
Are you ready for us to go back on?
Yeah,
now?
I'm ready. Yeah, everything
okay,
stayed
okay.
running. I don't the Zoom box just closed and said you're disconnected. So I don't
Okay.
like I said, I'll go ahead.
Okay. So, Ishwari, I'm sorry. So we were at this email from Friday, August 12th, and it looks like it looks to me like it's kind of an apology email from Andrew to you, kind of apologizing for your dynamics for the last little bit, correct?
Yes, that's an accurate characterization.
Okay. Would you mind reading this to the court?
Sure.
Or if you want me to read it, I will, but
I can read it.
Okay, you read it more lovely than I did. Thank you.
Aishwarya, I want to say that I'm incredibly sorry about the way our relationship has devolved over the past 2 years. I didn't know that such a thing could happen between two people who seemed to be so in love, so committed to each other, and who had overcome so much together. After our second fight in Mike's studio today, it struck me that the past 2 years have been filled with consistent conflict and chaos, one thing after another to fight over. I thought the divorce settlement we reached would end the fighting and chaos. Obviously, I was wrong. I've apologized before, but I want to say again that I'm sorry from the absolute bottom of my heart for all and everything I have done to hurt you to the extent that you view me the way you do. That you, as you said yesterday, do not care about me anymore. In my view, we agreed to relocate to Pasadena for several reasons. One, yes, so I could pursue my career. Two, because this is a home to our children. 3, because we know and are comfortable with and confident in the education options for our children. 4, it is a place you know and are comfortable with. For a solid 2+ months, you seem similarly confident in this perspective and our decisions. You have even said things like you were looking forward to living in Pasadena for the winter, that there are many positives here, such as High Point and old friends. 2 weeks ago, when I was in Leland, you said you might not even keep the property there. My hope was that we could work together to execute the divorce agreement we made. I understand it's very expensive. That is a known risk. In my opinion, the financial risk we would take with moving here outweighed the many other risks present in a move to a new place such as Birmingham. I still feel that way, obviously.
As a reminder, I think I need to just give a reminder about this, but this is not her speaking, even though she is reading this. These are his words. These are his nice words, if you recall. And she keeps emphasizing on like the ones where she thinks she's got him. And I'm like, yeah, we can read and we can hear you, but I don't like it. Anyways, let's keep going. I have to let the dog out too. So I'm going to pop out off the stream, not off the stream, off the camera as we continue. Remember, this guy's a writer, so we have to forgive him for writing so much, but
at this point you disagree. I understand you are upset about LaSalle. Yes, we did rush into it. I thought we decided to send Josephine there because it's a known quantity and she wanted to go there. I do not want you out of the children's lives. I have never wanted that. The reality of it is breaking my heart. On Saturday, you said I didn't compromise much in our divorce. Perhaps that's true. It's because I've already given up or lost everything. In the past 2 years, I've lost my beautiful, one-of-a-kind, historic dream home in Pasadena near the Rose Bowl, which I worked so hard to buy and provide to my family. I have lost my family of origin, which was the right thing, but nonetheless horrific, given the way they treated you, my children, and myself. I have lost my dream of a life with you in Northern Michigan. I have lost my marriage, you, the love of my life. I have lost our family as I have known it. And finally, I decided to relinquish the money I earned from the sale of my dream home. I'm a 41-year-old man, and I decided to let go of the past and start my life over and the good things I have, my wonderful children, my health and strength, my creative ability, my will and determination. I decided I would let go of the past and do my very best to start anew in a place that makes sense to my children, me and you. And that place is Los Angeles, and that is why we are here. But perhaps this is all too much, mostly as you have said, and I understand, too expensive. But I have and am willing to give it a shot, just like I have throughout our marriage. I'll give it a shot and hope for and work towards the best. But maybe it's all too much. I really don't know. Maybe we should just sell the property and move to Birmingham so that we have more concrete boundaries with each other and can co-parent in a healthy way. I don't know. Or maybe we need to stick to our agreements, get through the year and see what's next. All I can say is I'm sorry for everything. I wish that there was some way I could fix things, but I can't. All I can say is I'm sorry. I want the best for our children. I always have. And despite all of our problems, I still love you, Andrew.
Okay. So it looks like at that time, Andrew's kind of opening up a discussion again, correct, about
if Pasadena is not the right move, should we revisit everything? Is that correct?
No, Andrew is saying clearly that this is what's good for him.
Okay.
I'm a 41-year-old man, and this is my wonderful children, my health and strength, my creative ability, my will and determination. I decided, me. It says it over and over and over again. And I understand that how it is read to other people, but Andrew's a professional writer. And this letter is written alongside him yelling, screaming, and pushing me. It's after years of abusive anger, and he's clearly discussing what is good for him.
Okay.
He also recognizes the financial disaster that we are walking into by saying it's too expensive, and he wants to give it a shot. We lived in Pasadena for 3 years. We lived in LA for 10 years. We were consistently broke. Constantly. And that's why I wanted to move to Michigan, because I didn't want to live like that. You know, we had cars repossessed and our house, almost lost our house and moved around in multiple rentals. And the kids are here in this rental in Pasadena. And it's like, it's just unbending, you know, with him. And I understand that maybe that's not evident from the way he writes because he is a professional writer, but that's what this is.
So Aishwarya, you thought that moving to Northern Michigan would put you in a better financial position. How was that going to put you in a better financial position?
Well, we didn't have a mortgage, and our kids went to a public school, and we had a lot more money. Andrew earns a lot of money working remotely, and we discussed, you know, like him having more time and space in Northern Michigan to work creatively on novels and creative writing projects that he really wanted to do. And I, as an interior designer and also as a couple, we had been through a lot. And I thought that if we worked on a big fixer-upper house project, that would bring us together. And we would, you know, like, we would be able to,
You know
like,
what? Shut
have
up,
a new
lady.
chapter.
Lady, I have way more important things to deal with right now. Keep her. Yes. Do you have a. Oh. Let's talk about it later. Or if you send me just a base recipe to use, that would be great. Or link it in the chat. I am just. I don't want you to tire yourself out at all. I want you to rest up. So please don't worry too much about it. I will wing it like I was going to. And the dog really wants me to take her out. So I'm gonna let this keep playing. You please rest up. If you feel like it, drop a link. But other than that, don't you worry about it. We'll do this soon. I want a full enchilada lesson. Anyways, okay, let's continue.
That was really what moving to Northern Michigan was about. And our kids went to public school, and it was such a relief to not get emails from the school constantly about overdue tuition bills and worry about, you know, like, how are we going to repair a car or, you know.
Aishwarya, when you first looked at moving to Northern Michigan, was it going to be Leland or was it going to be Traverse City?
We looked together, and we actually, I didn't even know about Leland really. Like, we'd come to Fishtown, and I would say that Andrew and I both really wanted to buy a house that needed some work, because we both felt that by buying a house that had some like repairs that needed to be made, that it would have equity once we did that, and it was a better investment for our money. We had put a lot of cash into the Pasadena house, like probably close to $400,000. And that money was preserved in the house, like it was never spent. And so when we decided to buy a house in Northern Michigan, it was a similar feeling of, let's put as much money as we can because it's protected there.
Okay. And did you, but when you and Andrew first looked at Traverse City, didn't you apply to Pathfinder and have the kids admitted to Pathfinder?
Yes, we did. And Pathfinder was $10,000 a year. And High Point, I think, was closer to 20 per kid.
Okay. So you initially were thinking that the kids would attend Pathfinder, correct?
Yes, but then we decided against it.
Okay. Ashwarya, do you recognize this email from Saturday, August 13th from
Yes.
Andrew to you?
Yes.
I would, oh, I'm sorry, this is this has already been admitted. Do you mind reading this this out loud to the court, please?
Yes. Andrew writes to me, you are right that it might not be advisable for us to have any kind of financial relationship with each other, especially one that we have no proven ability to afford over the coming years. If this is your perspective, maybe we should sit down with Josephine and Leo today and talk to them about how they're feeling. We can ask them if they would like to stay in Leland for the year and then move somewhere next year. I have no idea the impact on them of making this suggestion and potential changes at this point.
Okay, so on Sunday, August 13th, again, Andrew is saying to you, maybe we should talk about moving the kids back to Leland. Is that correct?
Actually, we had talked about moving them to Ann Arbor. And
Okay.
so we talked to them in their bedroom about that.
On August 13th?
I don't know if it was the 13th or the 14th. I think it might have actually been the 14th, which
Okay.
is the day that before Josephine's first day of high school in Pasadena. And it just was, the whole thing was.
Yeah, that's hard. That would be hard. So then it looks like later that same day, well, still pretty early in the morning, it looks like Andrew sent you an email talking about possibilities of breaking the contracts that you guys had entered into for the schools in Pasadena, correct?
Yes.
And then I see the third paragraph down says, I am open to revising our divorce agreement, even potentially terminating the one we have and starting over. I think a new one would require very different terms that would establish firm financial boundaries and no dependence on one another. And I guess I see the last paragraph saying that he wants to work with you, find an amicable way to work together to get through this coming year. And he'd like to continue to discuss options for reaching longer term resolution, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And again, that was on August 13th.
Correct.
Okay. So you did talk to the kids on right before school started for Josephine, correct? And
Correct.
I think I get the gist of how it went, but can you verbalize for us by what your general thing? Were the kids receptive to moving back to Leland?
Well, we didn't tell them we were moving back to Leland. We didn't say
Okay.
that. We said,
Okay.
how about why don't we move to Ann Arbor, guys? And Josephine can start at Pioneer High School, which is where Andrew went to high school, and Josephine did a school visit there the previous summer, a spring or winter or something, I can't remember. And Leo would start at a new middle school in Ann Arbor that he had never attended and didn't know anybody. And I, by this point, I'm just totally traumatized by what's going on and Andrew's behavior and this empty rental house where the children are sitting on air mattresses that Andrew bought maybe a day or two previously with, you know, plastic dishes in the kitchen and just the chaos and abruptness of what is going on. And they just reacted really badly. Leo was crying. He said it was messed up for us to talk to him like this. Josephine was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm supposed to be at school in the morning. It was awful.
Okay.
Just awful. And after that conversation with the kids, I said to Andrew, like, let's just get them ready for school. Like, I just don't know how else to deal with any of this. And we kind of made up, as we always have in the past. And we all got in his car together, despite how I was feeling and his behavior. And we went to Best Buy and he bought the kids laptops and we got them uniforms and I don't know what else they needed for school. And I think we went to dinner or got dinner. I can't remember. And then that night he drove me to the airport and I got on a red eye and went back to work the next morning so I could pay tuition bills.
Okay. Okay. And then what did the fall look like in terms of how you were seeing, how many times did you make it out to Pasadena to see the kids?
I flew back on September 8th. I stayed until September 18th. And we had a okay visit. I stayed at his house. Andrew put my name on his lease. And so, you know, even just based on all the communications we reviewed, it's clear that I could not afford my own place. And this whole thing was really financially hard. So when I flew back on September 8th, I stayed at the house with the kids and we hung out. We took the kids places. We went to the beach. We went out to dinner a couple times. We got coffee. We talked and I was trying to feel okay about things, you know. It had been about a month since I had left. And during the weeks when I was back in Leland, I was really busy with work and I was trying to figure out how to move to California. And I was looking at rentals and, you know, like I contacted previous clients. Like I was really trying to figure it out because I just needed to be near, like, you know, I needed to move there. And that was what was going on. And then I left on the 18th and I flew back on September 30th. And it was apparent. And then, you know, Andrew had met somebody online and he told me that he immediately, like we picked me up from the airport, we were at a cafe and he immediately started talking about this person, which in the moment I would say really was okay with me. And then the next day was October 1st. And, you know, he had been like on the phone with this person for hours, yada, yada. And I was like, you know, I said to him, I don't really.
Ishwarya, I'm sorry. I guess I'm going to go I'm just going to restate my question. I'm just looking for the how many visits you made to.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I can give you the dates.
Yeah.
So I was there September 8th to the 18th. And then I left, went back to Leland, emailing people, trying to find rentals that I could afford in California.
Okay.
Really struggling to do so. Flew back on September 30th.
Okay.
And then I left on October 8th.
Okay.
I flew back to Pasadena on October 27th. And I stayed until November 16th.
Okay.
So, and then I flew with all the kids from LA to Leland on November 16th. I think it was the 16th. And we stayed until November 25th. And then I flew back with them on November 25th. And I didn't have anywhere to stay. So then I turned around and got back on the plane and arrived back in Leland on the 26th.
Okay.
And then I flew back there on October 7th.
Or I'm sorry, December?
I'm sorry, December 7th.
Okay.
And then Andrew agreed to let me bring Birdie back. So I flew back with Birdie, who was 4 years old at the time, on December 11th. And then the kids all joined, the older kids came out on December 19th.
Okay.
And then
They came
Joseph,
to Leland.
they came to Leland for the
Okay.
holidays, which was really fun. And then Josephine, and then we entered a new order on January 11th of 2023.
Okay.
And then the kids, and then just Josephine flew back on the 11th. And then I flew out there to see Josephine on January 29th. And then I stayed with her out there, and Andrew had flown to Leland to spend time with our younger children. And then I flew back with Josephine to Leland on February 5th because her orthodontist is still in Traverse City. And so she had an orthodontist appointment on February 6th. And then she flew back with Andrew on February 7th. And then I flew out there on February 23rd. I saw Josephine on the 24th. And then I flew back on February 25th. And I have not flown back since the 25th of February.
Okay. And when you flew in on the 23rd, you were going in for work, correct? And so you saw Josephine on the 24th for dinner, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But you flew out to Pasadena or you flew out to the LA area February 23rd. What were you doing out there for work?
I have a couple who have a house in Leland that I did. And they bought a condo in Santa Monica. And I did a decorating project for them there. And I also helped navigate an art purchase for them that was in LA. So I was just there for the day to do that. But those are Leland clients.
Okay. So I'm sorry, just to clarify, so you flew out to Pasadena August 9th, you left on August 15th, or was it the 14th?
It's the 14th.
14th, okay. And then your next trip out there that's when you started the schedule. That was the September 8th.
September 8th to September 18th.
Okay, perfect. Okay, got it. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing a gap where there was a visit between that date and September 8th. Okay. And then did you do work any of the other times that you flew out this past year? Were you able to do work in Pasadena or in the LA area on any other visits out to that area?
I think that in the January visit, I just went to visit the condo that actually, I don't know if I visited the Santa Monica condo because the seller had an immune issue and didn't want anybody there. I think maybe I visited it. No, yeah, I think I visited it for, I don't know, maybe an hour or two.
Okay.
I didn't have any other work out there.
And isn't there like a really cool market for interior designers out there? What is it called? The Pacific?
Yeah, it's called the Pacific Design Center. I never went to the Pacific Design Center on any of these visits. I just never had time. And the Pacific Design Center is a huge day of work. And I just was there to see my kids.
Okay. The art that you purchased that weekend of February 20th or the time period of February 23rd to February 25th. You said you coordinated that. Did you have to bring the art back to the Leland area, or was it a purchase for the Santa Monica home, or what required you to be in LA for that purchase?
Well, I went to the condo to measure, and I also, the reason that it's at a specific gallery, so
Okay.
it's not like,
And the gallery was in LA.
right.
Okay. So Ishwarya, when you first moved to the Leland area, again, this was what, July of 2020?
Correct.
Did you immediately start the work as an interior designer at that time, or tell me your work history since you got to Leland?
Since I got to Leland, sure. I was not really, I wanted to work on the house together, so I didn't really have a job lined up when I moved there. I did substitute teach at the children's school in April of 2021, March, April through the end of the school year. And that was actually really fun. But and then in, I think, October of 2021, after we had agreed we were going to begin collaborative divorce process, I received a call from the realtor who sold us our home in Leland, and he had sold a house, or he was selling a house to a couple from Texas. And the woman had grown up in Pasadena, and they wanted a designer to do the house after they purchased it and flew back to Texas. So I met with them for about 10 or 15 minutes. It's kind of a crazy story. And she handed me a placemat like off the table and was like, "This is my favorite color, blue." And I said, "Okay." And she was like, "Here's the code to the back door." I said, "Okay." And they left and they signed my design contract. And it was like just this incredible dream come true kind of project. I was earning $150 an hour, and I remodeled the house. I did not know anybody in Leland who was in I didn't know any contractors or painters or anything. And so then what I did was I did the house. I gutted it down to the studs and had it remodeled fully. I bought art, furniture, fabric, pillows, rugs, lighting. Every single light fixture was fixed. And then we built a gigantic staircase down a high erosion risk dune that I went through an Eagle permitting process with the township. And they arrived back in June to a house that was 95% completed and furnished. And I did it by myself, and they paid me a huge amount of money.
Okay. So it sounds like it was just
It sounds like she needs a round of applause for that, ladies and gentlemen, please. That story is, look at that. Look at that smile on her face. Oh, that gets her wetter than Andrew ever did, let me tell you. Ugh, I'm sorry. Ugh. All of those details were unnecessary. All of this is irrelevant.
I don't know. It sounds
Yeah.
kind of magical the way that all transpired.
Correct.
Everyone was in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. It was incredibly lucky, and I'm deeply grateful for it.
Okay. And then, so these clients came to you via the realtor that you and Andrew purchased the Lake Leelanau home with, correct?
Correct. And sadly, he passed away suddenly this past fall. His name is John Watkins in Leland.
Okay. And then how did you get, are you still working with those clients? Can I ask you what those clients' names are?
Yes, Bonnie Mills and Doug Eicher.
Blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Are you still working with them on projects?
Yes.
Okay. What projects are you working on with them now?
They have a house in Leland, at the house I just described.
Yeah.
And they bought a condo in Santa Monica, and then they also have a very beautiful home in Texas. And they're selling their home in Texas. And so I have just remotely been reorganizing all the furniture that's going to each home. They're selling their Texas house and they're going to be splitting their time between Santa Monica and Leland. But actually,
I apologize. Listen, I appreciate a good hustle, baby. I am in my kitchen cooking, watching court, okay? If anybody appreciates a good hustle, I do. But did she just say that she is remotely organizing furniture? Does that require two people? Somebody to walk around with the phone so that she can look remotely? Like what what? And I remember last time I was like, well, I think maybe she's confused. And again, these people are so dumb. Like, usually you want to like decrease your income. Apparently, that's not what they want. And also, aren't they, if they have a house in California and they are so nice, sounds like you're pretty set. Anyways, listen, I used to sell very expensive furniture. I did. I worked for a company where we sold extremely expensive furniture. We sold bed sheets that cost $1,000 per sheets. Like not for the set, per one sheet. Okay? And people would buy that shit online, sight unseen. They would buy it. I was like, okay. Anyways, so I know these people. I'm aware of how these people work, but still, uh, it's a gimmick to me. Anyways, also, do you know how I'm sorry, but I don't know who she thinks she's gonna find that is gonna put up with her attitude and give her more than he did. And maybe he was mean to her and maybe he was bad to her, but from what she told us last time, uh, I think she's gonna have a rude awakening as she ages and decreases in value. Not just her age is decreasing her in value, though, but mostly her voice.
they bought the Santa Monica place kind of like sight unseen. And when they went to see it after they closed, they decided they don't like it. And they're probably not moving there. And so now I'm working on, it sounds crazy. Like they bought a $7.5 million condo in Santa Monica that they didn't even do a final walkthrough on because the seller had hip surgery and didn't want anybody there.
Wow.
I'm continuing to work on their house in Leland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like big work on the house in Leland, or it sounds like the big work was completed mostly by June of 22.
Yeah, that work is right now what I'm working on is like they don't like this or that, and I'm fixing this and that. They want to add a hand shower, which requires me to dig into tile and
Okay. Okay. And then what other clients are you working with right now?
Last October of 2022, I signed a really large remodel in Leland with clients who live on in Leland. And it's a huge, basically got kitchen, bathroom, built. They have brick masonry walls. So I had to have walls cut and restructure with the structural engineer, various spaces in the home, furniture, etc. That house is still underway.
when do you project that project will be done?
Maybe in like 3 months. It's so behind.
Okay, okay. And what is that client's name?
Malcolm and Chrissy Chatfield, they own Tug Stuff in Leland, which is a local business.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Pause. Do not look up what the real Tug Stuff is. Please tell me in the chat what you think. This is called Tug Stuff has offering. Also, I'm laughing so hard right now. Gracie has just put something in the chat. CRD, do you want another dog, specifically a black pig? This mofo just lifted his leg on me, pissed in my slipper. Is that true, Gracie? Did that just happen? That is insane. Oh my gosh. Seriously. What is Tug Stuff? Because I can tell you how they making that kind of money in Michigan, Tug and Stuff.
Or did you say Chatfield?
Yes.
Okay. And then what other projects do you have going on right now?
So I am still working on 9 Bean Rose, which is a bakery in Sutton's Bay, and I'm close friends with Jen Welty, who
Okay.
owns it. And so I helped with the interior architecture for that space when it was built about a year ago. And
Okay.
then we're still kind of slowly plugging away at all the finishes. They had some permitting issues, so we're building out, different things in it. I also have a new project with a vacant lot that was purchased, and I'm going to be building a spec home there that's eco. So it's like a specialized kind of home building project using only non-toxic materials. And that's more of an investment project for the client. And I'm also going to be doing landscaping there. And then this client also has a family home, a farmhouse that needs major remodeling. And so that's going to be a gut project with a huge barn remodel, like rebuild.
Okay. And what is that client?
The house is owned by Ted Wilson, and the vacant lot is owned by, I think, well, it's my friend Charlie, but it's his mom. I think the family trust is buying it, but you could just say Charlie Wilson.
Okay. And Ted Wilson, what's Ted Wilson's relationship to Charlie?
They're brothers.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Insert funny name. I love your comment there, which is she can't do any of this without supervision from an architect. Actually, in the last hearing, she boasted about knowing how to circumvent certain building codes so that they could just sort of do what they wanted. I'm not kidding. I recall that specifically. And I remember pausing and being like, I don't think she should be really like talking about it. It's not like a good aspect of being a freaking interior designer. Like she talks about it's like, oh, anyways. Well, the husband, listen, if you're just joining us, welcome. This is Kitchen Court Cases. We're watching this divorce that has literally been going on for 2 full days already. There's 16 hours ish of previous video that I've already done about this case where this woman has talked the whole time. All her. We have never heard the husband speak yet, but we will tonight. I promise you that, folks. We will tonight. So, it's not even close to over. It's not even half, not even close. This is honestly, she's just you don't have to go back and watch it because unless you want to, because honestly, I had to take a day after that. I was like really, it was a lot. Especially since none of the lawyers are being anything like good. I would like the lawyer should be objection non-responsive. Objection non-responsive, Your Honor. Objection relevant. Objection non-responsive. I would just literally pummel her with that because everything she's talking about is irrelevant.
Okay. Did you advertise to get these clients, or was this just kind of word of mouth?
I don't have a website.
Okay,
And I don't have any kind of advertising. This is all word of mouth.
okay. Is the spec home in, is that going to be in Leland, or is that going to be in Northport, or?
It's in Northport on Swede Road, which is, it's Leelanau Township.
Okay. And the family home remodel for Ted Wilson is what area is that?
It's on Alpers Road. Actually, it was a house that I used to look at when we lived in California on Alpers Road in
Okay.
Leland. Yeah.
Leland.
It's actually technically Lake Leelanau.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then 9 Bean Row, that's Lake Leelanau? Correct?
That's Sutton's Bay.
Sutton's Bay, okay. And then Bonnie Mills and Doug Eicher, their home that you've done so much with, where is that one?
In Leland.
Leland, okay. Any other projects you've got going right now?
Oh yeah, I forgot one. I have a project in an magic carpet port, which is in Northport. It's on Cathead Bay with Rick and Jane Petty, Petty.
Okay.
And I'm remodeling the interior of their
Magic carpet ride now. A dazzling place in Michigan. That's what I tell them so. But that won't go. Sorry, I'll stop.
house that shouldn't start till the fall. And then we're also going to be building a garage and a guest house on that same property.
Okay,
And that's in Northport.
and all of that's gonna start in the fall.
Yes.
Okay.
And that couple, Rick and Jane, was purely referral. too.
Okay, and who were they referred by?
Maggie Milzeric, who I rent a office from her space. And so Maggie is familiar with my work.
Okay,
My magic carpet work.
that's
Oh,
impressive. That's great. That's the way, I mean, that's the way business is done, right? It's, people see your work and they like it, and that's great that you haven't had to do the advertising and website and everything. So let's talk about the kids' school right now. So right now, what does Birdie finish her pre-K?
She ends at the very end of May. So she ends a little bit earlier than Leo ends on, I think, June 13th. And then Josephine ends school on May 25th in California.
Okay. Right around the corner.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, Leo is June 13th.
I think so.
So I think I'm refreshing my memory right now. So Birdie will start kindergarten in the fall, and your plan is for Birdie to start kindergarten at Leland?
Correct.
Okay.
No, Megan is not her lawyer, if you couldn't tell,
Just
because
like the Leland Public School, the same school that Leo's at.
Correct.
Okay. In your motion, you're requesting that the kids all be in Leland.
where are you proposing that Josephine would start her sophomore year? So she started her freshman year of high school at LaSalle in Pasadena, correct? What do you think is the best outcome for Josephine for sophomore year?
I think Josephine should attend Traverse City West. I know that there are a lot of resources there, and you know, they have band. She loves the band. She's a talented clarinet player, and she's also, you know, she did the track team this fall and not fall, I'm sorry, just this past spring here in LaSalle. And I just think she would do well at Traverse City.
Okay. Does she have friends at Traverse City West?
I think so, yeah. There are a couple kids from Leland who go there.
Okay.
I have to say, I talked to Josephine about all this stuff at some point, and she said that she wanted me to homeschool her.
Okay.
Which I thought was incredibly sweet.
Mhm.
But a big responsibility that I don't know if I can handle that. I can't do that if I have a full-time job.
Okay. And Josephine knows those kids at TC West that are from Leland,
Yes.
and she's friends with them.
I don't know how close she is to them. I think they're boys, so I'm not sure.
Okay.
But she also, she would have a say. Like she has a say.
Okay. So Leo is in 8th grade, right? So he'll be a freshman next year.
Yes.
Where do you think he should be next year?
I personally think that Leo would benefit from going to Traverse West too. And I asked him if we could visit it. And he said that he did not want to visit it because he's been through so much. And he feels like he doesn't want to risk having to go to a new school again. And he would like to just go back to Leland.
Somebody just asked who Matthew Hagen is. Matthew Hagen. I like to, I like I like to think that Matthew Hagen is like Brendan Fraser in that movie where he like becomes the devil, or he like signs a deal with the devil and he doesn't know what he's gotten himself into. Like he's like signed a deal to be a judge for a week, and there was supposed to be a really simple case. And then this is what he's gotten himself into. I don't know why I think but anyways. He's the judge. He's actually the judge. So just right there, that's the judge, that's the dad, and then her, you know, yeah, we got a shipment from Tug Stuff. Oh God. So please like the video or dislike it, but like it.
And where he feels like, I think, very secure in his friendships. He's running for student council vice president for a freshman year, and he has a speech he's been working on that he's giving next week. And he plays baseball right now with all of his friends, and he has a very, you know, I don't know if you're familiar, but Leland is a very social little fishbowl, and he has his place in it. I still would like for him to see Traverse West and talk with him about it. But I also know he is resistant to making another change.
Okay. Is he on baseball is it Leland School, or is it through like a league in the area?
I think it's a local league, and it's like the Leland St. Mary's League, and he plays at Drow Field, or they practice there.
Okay. You would be okay with Leo staying at Leland next year for high school?
I think so. I mean, I would like to supplement with maybe some online like work. I mean, I don't really know what the options are for that. I know that, like we could try to supplement with online schoolwork, like through Khan Academy or something. Like, I do feel like, he's kind of coasting a little bit right now. But I also know that he has a lot of emotional things that he's working through with his therapist. And, that's important.
Can you clarify what you mean by coasting?
Means that he's like happy and
Is he being challenged?
yes, but I also think it could be like I don't know, I don't know exactly how to describe it other than he just seems really focused on, let me rephrase myself. I would say that Leo is doing some really hard inner work.
Okay. So his right now, his focus is more kind of personal rather than academic.
His priority and my priority right now is Leo's mental health, 100%. Nothing else matters. And he's an active participant in telling me if he's feeling poorly, or, you know, if he wants to do something together, or if he wants me to, you know, give him some space. He does not like watching his baby sister a ton. And so I have a babysitter for her, and you know, that's what I would say.
Okay. Does he miss Josephine?
Yes. Leo's doing well academically, by the way, just to have that on the record. He's getting A's.
Okay. But I'm sorry, he does miss Josephine.
Of course, yes. And I'm sure that she misses him. I mean, they're both teenagers and it's the sibling thing, but yes, absolutely. When she was here for spring break, they spent a lot of time together. And then in the evenings, it was kind of like their own darling little, like, you know, 15 months apart siblings, like upstairs listening to music, hanging out. And it was hard to tell him that he had to go to bed because he had school the next morning.
Yeah. And he misses his dad.
Of course.
So, would you agree that it's in the best interest of the kids for everyone to be in the same proximity to be able to exercise parenting time and visits and seeing one another? And
Absolutely.
okay.
All right, on that note, we'll break for lunch.
And the house will be fully occupiable at that point.
With the magic of playlists and editing, they are back from lunch already. Tupac, thank you so much. We know it's coming. I know it's coming. Let's hear it. When it comes, I'm gonna dance.
Okay. So your goal is you'll be in by June 1st, and then
Oh,
before you can move in, do you have to have it inspected?
I'm actually not sure if I need to have that inspected, that final inspection. This is being run through the construction arm of my own business. So it's a priority on everybody's calendar.
Okay. Okay.
And in the event that there were any delays, I would just stay here in Northport and it would maybe be like a week or two more, but there's no gap in housing.
Okay. So your place in Northport, you had a lease through April, correct? And then are you doing month to month now?
I had a lease through April and then we agreed to extend it for the month of May. And I'm agreed to, it turns into an Airbnb, like a short-term Airbnb for vacation in like mid-June.
Okay. So, what is your rent right now for the month of May?
I paid $2,800 in May.
Okay.
It's a little bit, it was about $1,000 more than what I paid in previous months, just because it's a nicer season here.
Okay. And if you have to go into June, what's going to be the arrangement for paying for that then?
I actually haven't crossed that because I don't
Okay.
anticipate that happening.
Okay. Did you say she already has it rented out starting mid-June?
I don't know the answer to that,
Okay.
when it's being occupied again.
Okay. Okay. But she generally, is that what you said? She generally starts renting it as an Airbnb mid-June?
This is her first year owning this home. She bought it in September, so she's kind of playing it by ear to herself.
Okay. Okay.
But I don't know.
Okay. I'm gonna have you
Oh,
look at.
yeah.
Thank you, Toby. Thank you, Tupac. Oh, yeah.
Ishwarya, and I know this comes across harder to see, but these are some pictures that Andrew, I believe, took of the home.
And then flew to Egypt, where he had them transcribed onto stone tablets. What is this? That you cannot say that is anything. I see a box. I mean, this is a joke. This is a joke. Seriously, she gets really hyped up every time I do, oh yeah, dancing. Nobody did it yet. Calm down. Okay.
When he was there, gosh, in February, is that when he last visited?
I don't know when he took, yeah, I assume so, because he was here January 29th through February 7th, I think. So at some point he was in that on the property taking photos and videos, presumably for this.
Okay. And he was staying in your home for those days and you were out in Pasadena, correct?
He was staying in Northport, not in this home that you're
Okay.
looking at.
Okay. Okay. So do you recognize this room?
Yeah, that's actually part of the new part of the new storage portion of the house. I have an exterior wall that was framed in. So
Okay.
that's not part of the house anymore, of the living spaces. And
Okay.
that in January, when these photos were taken, no one was living there. And Andrew and I bought this house together. We lived in it together until he moved out on July 9th to move to California permanently. So these photos in specifically, like I had moved out of the house, I had moved out in October or November. I don't know. Yeah.
And then is this the dishwasher? Like, was it just kind of a
I didn't even unmute myself. I'm yelling. No, this is the dishwasher right here. What the hell is this? What are these pictures? Who's admitting these and why is there no objection? These are lawyers that are paid a lot of money. They can afford to get some goddamn pictures printed. This is today. This case was today. This is not old.
rolling dishwasher that you put in place? What room is this?
That was our makeshift kitchen for the
Okay.
remodel we never did.
Okay.
Okay. And is this the room that will be the kitchen now?
No,
No, okay. Was this the laundry room?
nope, that was their kitchen.
Oh, okay, literally the kitchen. Okay, and what's gonna happen with that kitchen room?
That's all part of the storage unit,
Okay,
which is a legally defined space that the permit building has issued a permit for.
okay. And then this is, I think this, I don't know, is this kind of like a big general room? And I think it shows that you had some people working.
My
in your
business,
space?
yeah, my business rented the space. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. No, you can answer. You tell me. So it looks like it's a table with some workman stuff going on. Would you
Yeah.
agree? Okay. So they were occupying that. Are they still there right now?
They're using it to build.
What I need to know is why they're pretending like they're not bad. They're acting like they know what these pictures are. This is a joke. I don't care if they were freaking faxing them, printing them on the dot matrix printer. You guys are hilarious. Oh my God. Oh Lord.
Things for my new remodel.
Okay.
So, but they'll be out. So, we used it as a cabinet making space for a client, the Chatfields, who I gave you their name in Leland,
Okay.
modeled their kitchen, and everything was fabricated at my house.
Okay. Okay, and then here's the laundry room.
Yep.
Was this the makeshift kitchen?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay. And again, you said that's not part of the living space anymore then?
Correct.
Okay.
That's a storage room.
Okay, again, that won't be part of the living space?
That's actually a den, and that space is also being remodeled, just to the extent that I'm having some flooring put in, and all of that stuff in there has been moved to other places. The house is actually totally different now because Tracy, who testified as Birdie's nanny, does a lot of personal assisting for me, and she helped clean out the house, and she cleaned out the entire kitchen that we just viewed and
Okay.
helped put everything away.
Okay. And then this looks like a bedroom. Is this the master bedroom? And it looks like there's like an air mattress in the corner there.
Yeah, Andrew and I, when I wanted him to move out, instead he put a twin bed in that room. And Birdie slept on an air mattress, and we all slept together in that room when we were not married or separated or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, I slept in the big bed.
Okay.
That's Leo's room,
Okay.
and that's Josephine's room.
Okay.
Those rooms are currently being painted as we speak.
Okay. Okay, so I would ask, I think the court has a better copy that they can view, and I think Melissa, you have a better photo copy. It just came through on the scan from me. But I would ask that Exhibit E in its entirety be admitted, and it's just those pictures we just scrolled through.
No objection.
Okay.
Admitted.
Thank you. So your position is that the home looks very different than it looks now, correct?
Yes, and I would be happy to submit photos.
Okay.
It's also it's currently a construction site. So, I'm working, my business is being paid to put it back together in a way that will be suitable for the building department. The building department is not concerned with paint color and,
No, those are superficial. So here's my question to you, Ishwarya. This looks like a text exchange between you and Andrew on September 28th. I think it was moving day. So I think I can see from your text that you both were acknowledging it was an emotional day. Do you
Nope,
recall
Meg.
this?
Ms. Belden,
No.
you have just your list up. We're not seeing what you're looking at.
Oh, how'd I do that? Okay, here, hold on. Let me go to
You might have to stop the share, then
restart it.
Restart.
Okay, let me restart it. Now can you see it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall this text exchange, Ashwari? And I know it's kind of, I had to get real close to the computer to read.
Look at the title. Look at the title. First of all, judges don't look at any sort of addendums or additions to evidence like this. So all this stuff on the side, I guarantee, I guess she wrote. But look at this. It says 9/28/22 texts Ashwarya expressing positivity about visiting Pasadena and living there. On 9/28, the movers loaded the truck in Lake Lilino. Ashwarya expresses sadness. Regarding the Lake Lilino house and moving things out, she says, I think there is some real relief to be had once today is over. Our belongings do not belong in this house. She also writes that she is planning to demo the house. What is this? Is this her lawyers? Is this his lawyer? Are these the lawyer's notes? Oh God, if they are, I'm offended. I would have thought they would be better than that.
Read it.
I definitely can confirm it if we want to enter it.
Okay. I will have to submit this to the court. It hasn't, I don't believe I've entered it yet, or if it is somewhere, it's in one of these mass piles of things that I just.
Insert funny name. I'm actually, funny enough, a money laundering expert. Seriously, I have done a lot of work in that field, and they do have a little bits, but actually we find out where the money came from. They have some old sort of money vibes, and then we'll find out where the money's coming from. They are just, frankly, out of control with their spending.
Just, I found this separately, but I what I liked from it, I guess Melissa and Referee Hagan, what I wanted to get from that, I wanted to use it for context because I noticed that Ishwarya, kind of on in the second column, I see you texted Andrew and you said, our belongings don't belong in this house. Can you explain what you meant by that? And this was, and can you clarify that this was the day that this is the day you were packing up the Lake Leland home?
Yeah, Andrew did not prioritize moving all the furniture, including our children's beds, to Pasadena. So they were there since August 9th. And here we are September 28th, and I'm paying movers to put everything on a truck. I spent $700 and something like that. I actually am not sure what I mean by our belongings don't belong in this house. I would maybe say that I was looking forward to seeing my children the following day in California. And at that point, I was very much actively looking for a rental in Pasadena so that I could be near them. And I was very low on money, and I had to pay movers to put everything on the truck. Andrew paid for the actual truck. And it was just a really stressful time. And I was trying to also confirm a project in Leland so that I could pay for things. I don't really know.
You don't know what you meant by that. Okay, so I guess my next question would be, right below that, you said, I love the property and the chicken coop, but the house itself has got to go. It's had its time and now it needs to go down for demo.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the next line that you put was like, there will be a demo party with spray cans of paint. So your initial plans when you bought that home was that it was going to be demolished?
No, when we bought the home, we were going to remodel it entirely. And then portions of the house were demoed, like those images you sent us from the kitchen and whatnot. We realized there were like portions of the house that just really were gross and needed to go. And over time, I started to really desire, or I still kind of would love to just like build a house on the property. It's beautiful. But part of my evolution in the last 6 to 8, 10 months to a year has been facing financial realities. So when I send this text on September 28th, I'm still actively trying to move to Pasadena, pay for private school, work in Leland, fly back and forth, and also thinking, you know, just trying to grapple with all that was going on. And so this text exchange is actually a good example of how much I've had to grow and learn about financial management. Since I now have a construction arm of my business, I have contractors who are skilled builders and carpenters who have helped me reshape my plans to preserve and remodel portions of the house that are still nice and savable, and let go of the other portions and turn them into storage until maybe sometime in the future when I make different plans and am more financially, you know, my business is more established.
Okay. So there's, I'm trying to, in my head, I'm trying to visualize. So you're going to kind of have two parts to the home, if I understand correctly. There's going to be the living part, and then you're going to have a second part that's kind of cordoned off to be a storage part. But is it accessible from the living part, or do you have to go outside to access it? How does that work?
It has been framed in, which means there's an exterior wall being built with an exterior door. And so it's basically like if you were in your kitchen and you had a door out to your garage, there is a wall there and you step down into an unfinished garage space.
Okay.
So it is attached, but it is separate.
Okay. 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 And again, you are working with the county to get the permits and everything squared away for that, your planned move date of the end of this month.
Correct.
Okay. Your Honor, I have no further questions. Thank you,
Thank you.
Victoria.
Thank you.
Ms. Whitman, do you have any redirect?
I do, Your Honor. Ms. Nicola, would you agree that the terms of the September proposed consent judgment of divorce were financially illogical?
Yes.
And why were they financially illogical and unworkable, in your opinion?
My business is here in Leland and it requires my physical presence. And so it does not make any sense that the kids are then in a place that's not even a drive away. That's like a full day of airline travel, which requires thousands of dollars each time. And paying for private school, but not being able to live near them in any kind of any kind of reasonable manner. I mean, even the parenting split in that custody agreement is a 3-2 split, which is obviously illogical if I'm flying back and forth. And you know, it just paying for 2 private school tuitions that totaled like $50,000, between $45,000 and $50,000. Andrew only had to pay Birdie's tuition, which was closer to $17,000 or $16,000, and have a rental home there while also having my home here, flying back and forth. It just didn't make any sense.
Can you explain why you agreed to it at that time?
At the time, it was part of first of all, I signed that agreement on June 17th after 2 years of horrendous behavior and divorce negotiations that went nowhere. I was completely running on fumes by that point, and I just needed to end the fighting and the constant going round and round and round. And really the only thing that Andrew would agree to was moving back to California. I know that there are many emails that suggest that he was open to other places because he has a remote job. But in reality, he was never serious, nor did he make any actual serious. I mean, he was visited southern, like the Detroit area, but he only wanted to live in LA. And at the end of the day, I was just so exhausted by everything. And there's this part of just a long-term pattern and dynamic between us where Andrew really gets what Andrew wants. And that has played out year after year after year after year. And a lot of it was financially catastrophic. And, you know, alongside signing
Let's
some.
stop you. What was financially catastrophic?
I mean, Andrew wanted to be a professional Hollywood writer. And so he didn't really have any full-time jobs, and he always contracted. He is a professional writer for corporate companies, and he works remotely. And what that did was create an enormously unstable life for us, especially when we were in California. There was never a single year between the year 2012 and 2020 when we had a full year of continuous health coverage. The first year that we had continuous health coverage was in 2020 when we were in Michigan and we had more money because the cost of living is way more affordable. We had, giant lapses in health insurance, giant medical bills that went unpaid. We had to move around different rental homes. Our rent was late regularly. 2 cars were repossessed over those years. And, we almost lost our home in Pasadena. We went through a loan modification. And I know that, in his discovery responses, the response is just that Aishwarya did not work to help support the family. And I did work. I did have jobs. It was always very hard in California because of the commuting. Andrew himself at many times commuted for hours a day, and I was the primary caregiver for our children. And so when he was commuting or busy with work or chasing down one screenplay idea or another, he went to UCLA that his mother paid for his screenwriting program there. It was chaos, total chaos. And I didn't realize what it meant to be financially responsible until Andrew moved to California this past fall. I now get bills in the mail and I pay them. I had to learn about accounting basics. I had to change it was trial by fire. Like all the plane tickets that I bought, they add up. And when I signed that agreement, I had this is my fault too, but it's like, I participated in all this because really I lived in service to Andrew's ambition to live in California and become a famous writer, which continues to this day.
Sorry, folks.
When you moved to Northern,
Can we all just take a moment for this poor woman? I feel bad for her. I mean, not a single year of full health coverage, but you're spending how much a year on kids going to private school? Like, are you demented? Are you absolutely stupid? The private school that you went to obviously didn't teach you much. Jesus Christ.
Michigan in 2020, it was July of 2020, correct? I believe you testified that you were hopeful, and you and your husband were both hopeful that your marriage would improve as you lived in Northern Michigan with less financial stress, correct?
Yes.
But in fact, your marriage did not improve, correct?
Correct.
And you've mentioned before being the target of a variety of emotional and verbal abuse by your husband. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And can you describe that for us during the period of when you moved to Leland in July of 2020 until he left in California in July of 2022?
After we moved to Leland, I think we both had high hopes that our life would just be different. And we bought this fixer-upper and it was going to be fun. And instead it was like, it was very expensive to work on the house. And that was, hard. And Andrew was working at home. It was COVID. All our kids were at home. And he worked in a guest house remotely. And he just was so angry. And he was going through this thing with his own family of origin. He had to cut off contact with his mom. And it just turned into, I would say, if not daily, weekly emotional stress, pain, batterings, screaming, yelling, controlling behaviors, everything. He hated everything about living in Northern Michigan. He hated it. And he took it all out on me. He would yell at me. And one occasion, like that I can really specifically recall, like, we both yelled at each other at times, but like, he's way bigger than me. And it just was so frequent, the fighting, and his screaming was out of control. And one point I say to his therapist, it's in a therapist note, and I say, like, Andrew's anger is explosive and ugly. Birdie was in the guest house where Andrew worked with me one day, and our cleaners were in the house, and Andrew lost his temper and started screaming violently at me in front of our daughter, which happened repeatedly. And she was like 3 years old, 2 years old. And she started crying and she just kind of froze and didn't know which parent to run to. And then she ran over to me and we left. And, after things like that, he would feel bad and he would apologize and we'd go for a car ride and drive to Nine Bean Rose and get coffee or whatever. And it was like, it was out of control. And we tried to like repair things. Like I got a job at the school because I couldn't be at home anymore. It was so toxic. And I hired a babysitter for Birdie, even though I was making less at the school. And Andrew was making a fair amount of money and we had some extra money. But I started working at the school to escape him, really. And then, we tried to repair things. We went on a family vacation and then we went to New York for our 14th wedding anniversary. And I thought we were going to be better. And like we went to New York and I was like, okay, let's start over. And we came back and within a week, it was like he was angry and being awful. He hated all my friendships in Leelanau. And then finally in July of 2021, he agreed to separate because he was out of control. And there was a fight at a restaurant in the Riverside Inn. And, he got on a plane and went to California and I filed for divorce in August.
Are you aware of any mental health diagnoses of your husband that could explain his behavior?
In I think January of 2022 or 2021, I'm sorry, after we moved there, he began seeing a therapist who diagnosed him in January with complex post-traumatic stress disorder due to his own childhood abuse, which is terrible. Terrible being for him, I mean.
I'm going to give 1 second. Hold on a minute. I've got to work through here and get into what I need.
Both you lawyers are fucking not prepared and playing a dangerous game with your computer game. Let me tell you, live.
Can everybody see this?
Yes.
Ms. Nucala, do you recognize this email?
Yes.
And it might have been one of the ones that Ms. Belden actually showed us a little bit earlier. It's dated July 27th, 2021.
Yes.
And it's written from Mr. Llewellyn to you, correct?
Correct.
But it's actually not addressed to you, is it?
No.
But he sent it to you, correct?
Andrew typically shared all of his communications with his mother at this point to me first.
And did you in fact receive this email on this date?
Yes.
And you've highlighted certain things here that he wrote to you. He states that he has discovered that this destruction began far before I got married. I am in treatment for a condition called complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is a form of PTSD resulting from extreme emotional abuse and neglect in one's childhood. Is that consistent with what your understanding is of his diagnosis?
Yes.
And he also writes in this letter, through my therapy and recovery, I have begun to understand that the factors that led to my CPTSD are woven into the very fabric of our family. And by that, I believe he means the family of origin. I demonstrate symptoms of this diagnosis. Do you see that?
Yes.
So in this letter that he wrote to his mother, he acknowledges this diagnosis and that it's played a role in his life even prior to your marriage, correct?
Correct.
Why do you know why he sent you this letter or this email addressed to his mother?
I just played an active daily role in Andrew's family disaster. And it was part of the reason why I sought a divorce. And he always, even when I would say, please stop writing to me about this, like I can't be involved with this horrendous situation. He just couldn't respect my need to not be. He just needed me to validate everything to this day.
Leather and lashes, me too. But I gave people fair warning.
So I think you said that was in Ms. Belden's packet, but you didn't say whether it was admitted, and I didn't hear anyone ask if it was admitted. You read out of it and it's highlighted, but
I was going to get it admitted through Mr. Llewellyn unless I can offer it as an exhibit if there's no objection.
I would like you to go through Andrew on that, with Mr. Llewellyn on that one, because I don't know enough about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Exhibit 21 that we've submitted, Ms. Nucala. Is this an email from Mr. Llewellyn to you?
Yes.
And it's dated November 16th, 2021 at 10:13 a.m. Is this a true and accurate representation of what he sent you on that day at that time?
Yes.
And there's a portion of this that was highlighted for the purposes of this hearing. He wrote to you, I have also told you that my anger and emotions the first year we lived here were out of control. I acknowledge that my behavior was wrong and I have apologized to you. My anger in our marriage toward you has always been a problem.
is
And
this
I have-
admitted? I hate to keep harping on this, but I really don't like when things are read onto the record before they're admitted. I don't think that it's not just me being particular. I think that
No, I
that's what
understand,
the evidence require, rules of evidence require.
Ms. Nucala, you identified this as a true and correct copy of what you received from Mr. Llewellyn on November 16th, 2021.
Yes.
And I'll scroll to the bottom. There's additional communications between you on the same day. Are those both of your email addresses?
Yes.
And that's your response, correct?
Yes.
And that's the end of the document. I move for this to be entered as Exhibit 21.
No objection.
Thank you for that. Exhibit 21 is admitted.
The highlighted portion here, Ms. Nucala, I'll go ahead and state again. I have also told you that my anger and emotions the first year we lived here were out of control. I acknowledge that my behavior was wrong and I have apologized to you. My anger in our marriage toward you has always been a problem, and I am acknowledging that and trying to take steps to manage it better. Did he write that to you?
Yes.
Do you believe that that is an accurate characterization of what had been going on in your marriage?
Yes.
And did you attend therapy with him to try to address those anger issues?
Yes.
And was it successful?
No, I would say no. Not due to, it was not what, it was not due to couples therapy.
Earlier, Ms. Belden was asking you about certain documents that seem to indicate that perhaps you too have an anger problem. Do you believe that to be accurate?
No.
Why not?
Anytime I stepped out of line, it was like I was in the wrong. Like, for example, in this email, Andrew writes to me because I went to the store and I bought him protein powder, which was a little bit of an annoying thing to do because he had this obsessive workout thing going on and I didn't want to, whatever. And this email that he sends to me is because I got mad at him about buying him something at the store. And like, if I said anything to him about anything that was small or maybe larger, it was like I had an anger problem. I am 5 feet 1 inches tall. Andrew's 6 feet tall.
I don't give a shit how tall Andrew is. Where's the fucking text message that you sent? Where's the text message? Because this is what this letter says. And again, the man is a writer, but he is constantly being reasonable here. So she just admitted that she is still so pissed off about the protein powder that she can't even finish her sentence. And now, obviously, she texted him something snippy. And this is what he wrote to her. Ashwarya, I really wish you hadn't sent me the text message you did earlier. I'm sorry that buying my protein powder caused you so many negative feelings, but your text to me was mean and extremely hurtful. It made me feel like shit about myself. You have not sent me a message like that in about 2 months. Since I have come back from California, I have tried extremely hard not to yell or express my anger towards you. I have not been 100% perfect, but I have been much better. For example, last night I was extremely angry. Not wanting to yell or fight, I left the house. I didn't say anything or text anything mean to you. I took a drive and cooled off. I have also told you that my anger and emotions the first year we lived here were out of control. I acknowledge that my behavior was wrong and I have apologized to you. My anger in our marriage was towards you has always been a problem and I am acknowledging that and trying to take steps to manage it better. I'm going to ask you to treat me in the similar manner with similar restraint. If I ask you to do something you don't want to do, please don't do it. And if you do it and it makes you angry, please find a way to let your anger diminish instead of communicating it to me in ways that are mean, hurtful, and destructive. Please try to do this out of respect for me as your friend, husband, and partner in life for the past 18 years. Thank you, Andrew. I need to see the text. If the lawyer does not object to this being entered without the foundation of the text being laid, this shows nothing. All this shows me is that he was being really nice to her when she was a dick.
I do not scream violently. I do not throw things at him. I've never thrown anything at him. I do not scream uncontrollably and violently and threaten his physical being. I've never done that. And so it's just not comparable. And honestly, he just needs complete and utter, he needs for me to be a doormat, which is what I was for our entire marriage. And when I started to stand up for myself, when we moved to Leelanau and I made a lot of wonderful friends and took my children to play with those kids, it was like I was partying all the time. We were in Leelanau on COVID. There was nothing open. I was just at other people's houses with our kids hanging out. He did not like any of my friendships. It was just this horrible double standard that I was like not allowed to have any freedom.
What do you make of that now that you've gotten a little bit of distance from it?
I think it's very
Was it the brand of protein powder that was the problem? It's so weird. This stuff is like she's talking about being traumatized and this is her evidence. And I'm like, honey, I don't want you in my kitchen. You can come to the porch and explain yourself.
Dysfunctional and sad, and not the way you treat someone you love.
Were you financially able to leave Mr. Llewellyn during the first year that you and he lived in Leland?
No, I did not have a job until I started working at the school as a substitute teacher for $100 a day in April of 2021.
Did you have your own debit card?
No,
Did you have your own credit card?
no.
Did you have your own bank account?
We had a joint account. I did not have my own personal account.
And how did Mr. Llewellyn react to you spending money? Did he allow you financial autonomy?
I was allowed to spend money at the grocery store, like stuff for the kids, stuff for the kids being like, I ran the household to the sense that like I bought all the groceries and gas and like, cleaning supplies at Target or whatever. But I just wasn't like, I didn't have any, like I never bought anything for myself until we moved to Leland and we had more money. But like,
Oh, sorry. You know what I buy for myself at the grocery store? Is she nuts? She is so out of touch. She is so out of touch. So out of touch. She doesn't even know what it's like to be poor. She doesn't. I can tell you that right now. She's never known what it's like to actually be poor. Or I don't think she's ever been truly restrained from buying anything that she needs. And I think it's actually offensive because there are women, there are people, there are actual situations out there where people are being absolutely constrained, dominated, and coerced with money. And they don't have the ability to get up and leave. But this woman who buys plane tickets, who is out designing furniture and all the things that she's doing in Target, so offhandedly flippant, saying, "Oh, I get the cleaning supplies, I do all the groceries for the kids. I mean, I do run the household, I get all the gas." Like, I don't think you get it. What you're alluding to or what you're saying is happening to you isn't. That's not the same thing. And I'm not saying that every person that can go out and buy groceries is not in a situation that might be domestic. But what I'm talking about is she tell me if I'm wrong in the chat. I mean, I don't think I am. I think that she is exaggerating it. She's trying to make it seem like what she's heard about. But she has cleaners, so they were in the freaking out part. And this is the other part. If we remember, the house when they got there and it was unlivable, and then they mentioned that they had to tear down the guest house, and you're like, wait, what? There's a guest house again. Oh yeah, she has a nanny because the kids don't like each other again. Like there's so much. Okay, let's continue. I just have to step in because honestly, I think that there are truly situations where, like, can you imagine the amount of time and resources and money that's going into this situation that could help somebody in a real domestic violence situation? Just imagine what difference you might make. She doesn't even know and I say this absolutely, I'll say it straight to her face. You do not know the struggle that many people have gone through before to feed, clothe, do what they need for their child. Like, come talk to me after you sold all the stuff in your house after you, like, you're laughing at a 3K a month job. Yeah. $100 a day. Why don't you just start being I can't even, I can't. We gotta go.
For example, like right before we moved to Leelanau from Pasadena, like I was like, I'd really like to buy some new clothes. And he like checked the shopping cart. I had to like approve it with him before I was allowed to buy these like clothes. And they were like $200, and it's just no way to live. And I just didn't know that.
It's
You
There's no
touched
way
on
to
this
live
briefly, but
for me to have to check to buy $200 something, clothes of 200. Oh, I'm having a hard time now because do you know how long it's been since I've spent $200 on clothes for myself? Yeah, I would actually talk about that with my partner if we shared money completely and we were struggling. Yeah. And I would not. That's not unreasonable. I, I'm just, yeah, she's confusing being a kept woman with being held hostage. And I think what's going to happen here is at the end of this divorce, she might become very, very confused with when nobody else puts up with this.
how did Mr. Llewellyn react to the positive friendships you formed with people in the Leland community who also had young children?
He was very angry and disdainful about them. He participated in socializing with us to some extent, but and I think he really liked everybody when we first moved there, and he was welcomed, just like it's a very welcoming community. And then over time, like as our troubles were increasingly difficult, I sought refuge with my other girlfriends who had children my age. And, as a way of just like connecting and having support and love in my life. And, at one point in March of 2021, there was a note in Andrew's therapist note saying that these relationships were like family to me. And the following year, there was a note almost exactly a year of the date saying Andrew is having difficulty extricating Aishwarya from her social support up north. It was an active aspect of our divorce proceedings that I did not know about. Andrew had a therapist who regularly counseled him on how to get me out of northern Michigan because it didn't work for Andrew. I wasn't a doormat. And once I started to work, I got that design project we already talked about. It became worse. And he said to me, I'm going
to ask you I'm going to break this up a little bit. When did you get the design project, the sort of magical one that you mentioned earlier?
I got it in October of 2021.
And you described how it came to be, but what was Mr. Llewellyn's reaction when that magical opportunity arose?
Well, he didn't say this initially, but later on he said to me that when the realtor, John Watkins, who connected me to the design clients, had emailed Andrew first and said, is it okay if I contact Aishwarya about this design project? And Andrew said to me, I thought about about saying no to him. And so you should really be thanking me for letting you have that project, or something saying like I got that because he said yes to the realtor to contact me. And then once I started earning significant amounts of money in a personal business, and I think actually at that point I only had a personal account, he said to me repeatedly that he was jealous and resentful of the money that I was making, because it would have been nice if I had made that when we lived in California and when we were married. But since we were getting divorced, he was angry that I had this kind of income coming in and it wasn't going to be part of his life in the future.
Did that make you feel supported in your new endeavor?
No.
Did it surprise you? Did that reaction surprise you?
Yes.
Why did it surprise you?
Because I thought Andrew loved me.
What do you mean by that?
I cheered for Andrew in our entire marriage, and I still do. I want his dreams to become a professional creative writer to come true for him. When my dreams started to come true, he was awful about it. Resentful, angry, complaining about me working a lot, construing it that I was leaving the kids all the time. I was a working mom all of a sudden. And he works remotely, so he was at home all the time. He had to help more, and he hated that too.
The materials that Ms. Belden showed us and went over with you included a number of apologies by Mr. Llewellyn for his behavior toward you and back and forths about that. Was that a familiar pattern in your experience?
Yeah, I mean, I think like it's just like something would happen, it would be terrible, and either we would never talk about it or, he would apologize. And I think it's like in our marriage, like I really played the role of peacekeeper, like whether it was, just saying like, okay, we're going to get through this. I will say there were times where I was just like really angry and I just didn't want to talk about it. But he looked to me for constant validation, like the email to his mother, like, why am I getting that? At that point he was in Pasadena and we were separated. But it was just this constant need for me to tell him that things were okay. And he would do that using apologies and placating.
And how would you typically react to it?
I feel that I think that I reacted usually by saying, okay, it's okay. Okay, it's okay. But once we lived in Leelanau, it wasn't really okay with me because I had friendships and I have friends just say to me, like, what is going on over there? Like, he's so controlling and he's like this and that. And I would defend him. But over time, once I started working and having more time out in the world, I started to really see that behavior was not okay. And to this day, I'm still learning.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. When you lived to clarify, how long did you and Mr. Llewellyn live in California together?
From 2011 to 2020, so 9-ish years, 9
And
plus.
during that period of time, did you feel isolated?
Absolutely. I had to this day, like I can count 2 friends from California. And, I have a difficult relationship with my family, but I never once visited my family in New York. I never once flew to New York. The only time I got on a plane when I lived in California, aside from one occasion, I went to San Francisco. I went to a wedding once in Pennsylvania. And other than that, every single plane flight that I got on in those 9+ years was to Northern Michigan or Ann Arbor to see Andrew's family, to spend time with his family, to be around his family. And everything was about Andrew and his family. And they were abusive and it was awful. And even when I said to him, I don't want to be around your family anymore, he said to me, that's just what you do, Aishwarya. You just have to deal with it. It didn't matter.
At some point, Mr. Llewellyn decided he wanted nothing to do with his family anymore either, correct?
Correct.
And that was...
Sorry, I stepped away there, but bam, how long you think she's been waiting to say that line? She sounded like she rehearsed that one. Didn't she? Yeah. She's rehearsed that one a couple times. She rehearsed more than her lawyer did, let's say that.
was in part the letter that he wrote to his mother, correct?
Correct.
Would you say that you have become a lot more independent since you moved to Northern Michigan?
Absolutely. Yes. Thankfully.
Would you agree with me that the more independent you became, the more conflict arose in your marriage to Mr. Llewellyn?
Yes.
At the end of this long-term divorce negotiation, now I understand it's sort of still going on, but at least in the spring of 2022, the materials that Attorney Belden had showed you indicated that you did have significant reservations about a move back to California. Is that true?
Yes.
And you did in fact have those reservations?
Yes.
And you expressed those reservations to Mr. Llewellyn, correct?
Correct.
On multiple occasions, true?
Yes.
And he responded, according to those materials that we were shown, that he was willing to consider other options. Did you see that?
Yes.
And my question is, given that you expressed those reservations and he at least wrote that he was willing to consider other options, why did you proceed forward in August with the quasi move to California?
Despite what he wrote, he said to me, there was actually an email that was entered on July 18th, and then the next correspondence that was entered was on July 25th. In that week, clearly, I had had a conversation with him, which I can't pinpoint specifically when it was in that week, where he just made it clear that this was done and I had to do it. And I did not seek out the appropriate resources legally to know that I still didn't have to do it. I didn't know that the custody order was not set in stone. I didn't know that I didn't need to take the kids. And this is just part of a remnant of our marriage. I listened to him. And I really shouldn't have. It was a huge mistake. And meanwhile, all these emails that have been entered about him saying, I'm open to change and I want to change and I understand your feelings. There are therapy notes that align almost exactly within days of those emails to me, where his therapist says, you need to validate her feelings, but make sure you don't touch that divorce agreement. It is done. And his therapist encourages him to seek out legal resources, to call his attorney, and make sure that what I am saying.
I'm gonna object to that right now because that hasn't been admitted in argue hearsay.
Okay.
Ms. Nucala, did you have your own lawyer in the summer of 2022?
No.
And you had a lawyer for the collaborative process, correct?
Yes, I had Gary Gardner.
And then Mr. Gardner advised you that he couldn't represent you after the collaborative process terminated, correct?
Correct.
And are you aware that that's just part of the collaborative process, that when that ends, neither one of those lawyers can represent either one of you? Is that correct?
I know that now.
And did Mr. Llewellyn have a lawyer?
Yes.
And who was that?
It was a woman named Melissa Umulis.
And did he offer to facilitate you getting your own lawyer?
No.
Did he offer to have meetings with Ms. Umulis where you could answer questions or ask questions, excuse me?
No.
And at some point you indeed did secure your own representation, correct?
Correct.
And that was on or about October 28th, 2022. Is that accurate?
Yes.
And how did Mr. Llewellyn react toward you when you finally secured your own independent counsel?
He was A, very surprised, and B, he was bullying and angry and wanted to know why I had done that and what was I trying to do. And, we were at a cafe. It was November 2nd. And
a cafe where, Ms. Nucala?
We were in Pasadena. I was in California at the time. And he had emailed me saying that the final divorce judgment was being entered the following day and that I did not need to be there because it was some kind of special hearing where I didn't have to be there. And I panicked And I called you and you said, okay, let's talk about this. And then Andrew said, I want to meet you. And so we were at this cafe in Pasadena and we were sitting outside and he just was bullying me across the table. And in retrospect, like I see that as bullying. And in the moment I was afraid.
Afraid of what?
His anger. And just saying to me, like, what are you trying to do? Why'd you hire an attorney? Are you trying to move the kids back to Michigan? What are you trying to do?
What are you trying to do? What are you trying to do? Hi, Credence and Mikey. Thank you for being here. Yes, as a reminder, they initially agreed to an agreement where she agreed that they would go to California and this, that, and the other, signed the agreement, did all that, and then now just wants a different agreement. Seriously. Also, everybody, Credence and Mikey in the chat. If you're not already subscribed there, you should be. That's a great channel. And I am making enchiladas. We are getting there. Things are moving. Also, I'm trying to give you guys as much video. What is with these lawyers today? And they're just absolute crack tech abilities.
all said and done, and he was just saying it repeatedly. And then, after and then his attorney refused to adjourn the hearing the following day. And we had to kind of, and then Judge Kromkowski said that I could file something. And I filed on November 9th. And then on November 11th, Andrew wanted to talk again. And I was still in California, not working and broke. And, I met him at a cafe and he bought me a coffee. It was nice. And we sat down and he just was like, what are you trying to do? Why are you doing this? And by this point, I was just said to him, you should see if the Taliban is hiring, you would fit right in, which is not a nice thing to say. And he said, shut your effing mouth. And he started yelling at me, shut your effing mouth, on this cafe sidewalk. And people were looking at us and we had to walk away from each other. And then we did not exchange a verbal word until probably just before the new year, at the end of December, because we couldn't speak to each other anymore. Because I felt protected once I hired an attorney, and he was very angry about it. And at one point on November 18th, he sent me an email that said, basically that I had been planning to take the kids for the holidays to Michigan because I don't have a place there in California. And he writes in an email, it's Exhibit 65, that he says, well, we can just look at it.
Hold on one second. This one is one of the ones that's been a little buggy. Let's all keep our fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you recognize this email?
Yes.
It's dated November 8th, 2022. And that's his email and yours, Ms. Nicola?
Correct.
And it was sent from him to you at 6:30 p.m. on that day. Does it appear to be accurate?
Yes.
Is that actually what you received?
Yes.
Move for this to be entered as Exhibit 65.
I'm just looking at it quickly. No objection.
Admitted. Thank you.
Go ahead, Ms. Nicola.
Should I just read the highlighted portion?
When I'm pulling it up, just to make this flow, there are certain things highlighted here. And this is what he wrote to you on that day. What do you believe is important about this email?
He acknowledges that I have tried to set out the divorce judgment. He writes, we have each carried out all elements of the divorce judgment related to our kids. Me getting a residence here, moving the kids here, enrolling them in school, and moving their possessions here. I did agree for the kids to go to Michigan for the holidays. However, I need to make 2 points about it. first it was before you hired an attorney to contest our divorce judgment. And then he goes on to still propose that they can be here with me. But again, this is part of that larger pattern of, I will bully you. I'm going to say you can do this, but let me make sure you know that I'm not okay with it, or that I'm going to intimidate you first. And this was the pattern in our marriage. I want what I want. And when you step out of line, you will know how I feel about it.
When he says first, it was before you hired an attorney to contest our divorce judgment, that's when he had agreed to allow the kids to come. How did you interpret that?
I think I felt like I had a real problem on my hands because I didn't know. I was really just, I just was like, does this mean I can't take them? I think I went ahead and got tickets anyway. My friend Charlie bought them. And, I just realized like, it just wasn't going to be like, yeah, you got the kids for the holidays in Michigan. Like the way I thought all this was going to be. Like, yeah, you can take the kids. Yeah, can you pick them up after school? Sure, I'm busy. Okay, whatever. And we could co-parent. This is the opposite of what I had wanted in any of this. And it's because I was challenging him.
Was that unusual?
It was until we moved to Leelanau.
Do you recognize this email?
Yes.
It's dated November 17th, 2022. It's from him to you. Is that your email address?
Yes.
Is that his email address?
Yes.
Did you receive this email?
Yes.
Move for this to be entered as Exhibit 66.
Yeah, can I just read it real quickly?
Oh, of course.
Both you lawyers suck. Earlier when I was hearing oh yes all the time, it was funny. Yeah, so annoying. I haven't paused it. They're just not
Yeah,
talking.
no objection.
Thank you. It's submitted.
Ms. Nucala, could you read the highlighted portion, please?
As I wrote to you yesterday, I'm considering agreeing having Leo and Bertie return to Michigan in January. I am not committing to this. I'm simply considering it. I need to think a lot about it, and I need to consider the various factors. I understand the financial and logistical challenges of our divorce judgment has presented, and I am open to resolving them.
Have you been able to resolve the financial and logistical challenges as written in the proposed judgment since this date?
No, and we are here, and Andrew's position is that this divorce judgment needs to be entered as is, and he does not care about the financial and logistical challenges, even though he says he does in this email, which is part of the larger pattern of writing one thing to placate me, and then his actions do something totally different. And he also recognizes that I think at this point, Leo's school said that his tuition was behind and I couldn't afford to pay it, so his school enrollment was in trouble. And, Andrew was busy with his social life, and Bertie was 4 at the time, and he needed childcare. And it's not convenient to have a 4-year-old if you're trying to socialize.
What were your concerns about Leo in the fall of 2022?
Oh my God, it was to say that it was a terrible time for poor Leo. He was in Pasadena. I was separated from him, and he was really struggling. At one point, Andrew knew, I won't even go, but there is documented evidence that Andrew said that Leo was depressed on October 6th. And over the course of October, instead of, Andrew also earned in the month of October $22,000, over $22,000 in cash deposits into our joint bank account. And he did not hire a therapist. He did not call a therapist. He did not sign up Leo up for any activities. He only hired a babysitter on 2 occasions so he could go on overnight trips. He did not take care of our children. They did not have activities, and it was, our son was suffering, and Andrew was absent, and he spent lavishly on himself, like I think close to $6,000 in the month of October alone. The kids never, like, you know, it was in a joint account. I didn't touch it. I needed money for food in Leelanau, and I didn't know what to do. And we had like communications with Leo's counselors. You know, on one occasion, like Josephine, I learned, I'll just say that Andrew had been gone out of the house between October 8th and October 21st on 10 occasions at night. And he would tell the kids, he would help Birdie get to bed. And then he would tell the kids that he was going out, and then he wouldn't come home until they were all asleep. And it happened on, he read out 10 nights. When you look at the bank statements, it looks like more than 10 nights. And he does all these actions are knowing that Leo is depressed. And our relationship, my communication with Andrew just totally fell apart. You know, there are text messages that were entered during our presentation where he just says, like, I'm not talking to you about any of this. If you're concerned, you just have to come here. And I did.
And you did in fact come there, correct?
I did. I got there on a plane on standby on October 27th. And the next day on October 28th, I took Josephine and Leo, my 2 older children, to see a therapist who I had arranged for, even though I was the broke person. I did not have any money. And I used my funds from a design retainer I had just sold for a project in Leland.
Did you discuss these concerns with Andrew?
Yes.
And how did he respond?
Stonewalling me. He was very, I mean, it was like maybe on one occasion he would say, like, he's fine, you know, he's okay. I talking to him, he was really behind on his schoolwork and it was so stressful. And, you know, like he wasn't empathetic to Leo about it. And it upset Leo even more, who called me, like FaceTime me at like 11 p.m. or 12 p.m. in Leelanau. It was like 9 p.m. his time. And the next morning I got on a plane. I drove to the airport and I got on standby and flew there because I was so worried about his mental health. And the numbers don't lie, you know.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
I interrupted you and I didn't even hear that. Can you say that again?
The numbers don't lie. I have spent a fortune, all of my savings, trying to see my children. Andrew has made so much money. At last count, it was $149,310 into a single joint bank account between August 1st and April 28th. He makes $90 an hour. He was padding his income in September, October, August, September, October, November by billing clients, double billing them so that he had extra money, and it all went to himself. There are no activities that the kids were in. They were not in therapy. Josephine is still not in therapy. He's contacted someone. She costs $320 an hour. I have asked for money for child out-of-pocket health expenses that we're supposed to be splitting 50-50, according to the divorce judgment that he wants entered. And it wasn't until April 28th when I got so fed up with waiting for months for this reimbursement, and I needed to finish paying Leo's private school tuition bill, that I went ahead and I withdrew the money from our joint account after he got paid $7,000. And then I ended up repaying him plus some. So I ended up lending him money, and he's paid me back yesterday.
What was his reaction when you withdrew those funds?
His reaction to me was actually very measured. He just sent me an email that said, can you explain why you transacted $7,000? And I just wrote back, this is our joint account and we're not supposed to even have this account anymore. And I don't know why you I don't think I wrote this, but it's basically like flaunt these huge deposits in my face and expect that I'm just going to sit around and take this when I am supporting our 2 children in Michigan without any support from you. You won't even pay back money that you owe to me for their health expenses in an agreement that you want upheld. I was angry for sure, but I also was like, I also was just making a point because I withdrew that money and he couldn't pay his rent. So despite earning all this money, Andrew continues to live paycheck to paycheck with no savings to this day in Pasadena, which is one of the most expensive cities in the world, with a child in his care and private school tuition that he can't pay. And now we're all he's here arguing that we all should move back there and they should all go to private school, which is, as long as we have joint legal custody, the schools require both of us to sign enrollment contracts, which makes both of us legally liable for the cost of the tuition. As long as I have parental rights and I sign an enrollment contract for a private school in Pasadena, I'm legally obligated to pay that tuition as much as Andrew is obligated. This is so unfeasible. And I just don't understand why we can't just do what's right for our children and provide them with stable housing in a place that's affordable, that they are familiar with, in schools that are public, that are good enough. Maybe they're not the best schools in the world. They're good enough. And they have activities, they have therapy, they have friends, we have a community that's wonderful. I have a business. Andrew works remotely.